It's going to be.
Yeah, well, this is their time, isn't it?
Yep. And the Friends.
Well, again.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the bands split up, isn't it? Because
it's just like me and you, right?
I know, yeah.
Me and your
happens all the time.
You give me a big stern look out there. I says, good and mighty bit of.
But you see, it's just the torture you put poor listeners through. What was the name of the last lady that was on the last, lovely lady there? She thought she was just about to win 1200 or whatever it is.
But I was nice. I was gentle. Dad, do you know how I'm the big boy on the radio, right? I'm gonna be very scared in 20 minutes after I have to get a needle.
What for?
No, I have to just you know how on a yearly basis you get checked out.
No,
I'm just getting blood.
Most people don't do that.
No, but I'm making myself do it. But I'm having nightmares of giving because last time I did it, I fainted. So I'm going to have to tell.
You'll be all right.
But my tummy's all over the place.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
No,
it's routine.
Oh, I hate it, Daddy.
I think you should put on your big boy pants.
No, but I am wearing them. But do you know how you think you're going to faint? You're going to faint, aren't you?
I've never fainted, but now I feel faint. Go away.
Oh, God, I feel weak.
Come here, will you give us an update? Let us know.
No, I don't want to. Can't think straight.
Good luck. Knowing him, he'll probably live stream it. Okay, we'll be back with the show in full, of course, kicking it off after we get a news update now from Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A post-mortem examination is being carried out today on the body of a young woman who died after she was hit by a Garda car outside Buncrana at the weekend. 21-year-old Rebecca Brown from Derry was struck by the patrol car as she was walking close to Ludden Beach at around 3:15 yesterday morning. The collision is now the subject of a GSOC investigation. The road has reopened. Fianna Fáil in Donegal say they've been given a commitment of progress on the 10T road project this year and a specific guarantee that the government will very carefully consider the need for a second bridge over the Swilly in Letterkenny. The commitment was given last night at a meeting with Junior Minister Jack Chambers, who was in the county for yesterday's National Famine commemoration in Milford. County Executive PRO Gavin McGowan says issues including defective blocks and the need for balanced regional development were raised with the Minister, who'll be Fianna Fáil's National Director of Elections for next year's council elections. He says Minister Chambers was very positive on the issue of road infrastructure.
A number of councillors made contributions in relation to a second bridge crossing the River Swilly. It was a big point throughout the meeting, and the Minister did take on the points. Obviously, he could make no promises at that meeting, but he did say that it would be something that he would be looking at, and I think everyone knows that is something that has to be done in order to combat the traffic and congestion that is in Letterkenny.
There's fresh pressure on the DUP to restore the power-sharing executive at Stormont. Former leader Edwin Poots says the result of the local elections are a wake-up-and-smell-the-coffee moment for unionism. With 144 seats against the DUP's 122, Sinn Féin have now become the largest party in local government in the north. University of Liverpool Professor of Politics John Tong says Sinn Féin's performance was resounding.
It's a dramatic success for Sinn Féin, now the largest party of local government in the north, to add to the fact that they are the largest party in the Assembly. It shows how much the north is changing. It's the Sinn Féin juggernaut devouring an awful lot of what lies before it. Sinn Féin took seats from all the parties.
Sinn Féin's performance in Derry City and Strabane was unprecedented, with all 18 of its candidates elected. The makeup of the new council is Sinn Féin 18, SDLP 10, DUP 5, UUP 3, Independent 3, People Before Profit 1. And a €1,000 tax break for workers is among the ideas being brought to the table ahead of the budget. According to today's Irish Independent, it would see workers on an average household income awarded the payment. The measure is being backed by 3 Fine Gael junior ministers. Dublin TD Colin Brophy says it's something that workers deserve.
It's something that is due to people who are on average incomes, middle incomes. So if you're on about 52,000, what we would be suggesting is that you'd get a tax break in the next budget that would be worth about €1,000. You've got to remember, we have very high personal taxation rates. Around the 2008 crash, people said, well, the economy is in a dire way and the finances are in a dire way. Well, the nation's finances have never been stronger and there's a huge surplus.
Weather forecast dry today with cloud gradually breaking up to allow good spells of sunshine to follow in the afternoon and early evening. Top temperatures today 14 to 16 degrees Celsius in moderate northwest breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
Hi, Did you know that your Irish Life pension could help the planet? By investing less in companies that harm the environment and more in those trying to help it, while always aiming to give you the strongest possible return.
See irishlife.ie for pension funds that have a responsible approach, or speak to your financial broker or advisor. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And it is a very good morning, 5 minutes past 9 on this bright, sunny Monday, the 22nd of May 2023. How are you keeping? I do hope you're all very well out there. Wherever you're listening to us, be it across the Northwest online or on air or across the world online. Great to have you on board. We want you involved in the conversation as well. We've got loads lined up for you. We want your views, but also if you want to pass some information on to us, you know what to do. WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000. If you're listening to us outside the Republic, 0035386 60 25,000. Your telephone calls to 074 91 25,000. We've got the team of Caroline and Niamh taking your calls. Again, from outside the Republic, 00353 74 91 25,000. And if you tend to email, comments at highlandradio.com is the best way to get us. As I say, plenty coming up on the show, so don't go anywhere. Let's start with a run through with some of the stories that's making the newspapers this morning. And we woke up on Sunday morning to the terribly sad news that a woman aged just 21 died in a road tragedy on Sunday morning close to Buncrana after she was struck by a Garda patrol car. This is the front of the Donegal News. The collision happened in the townland of Ludden on the Derry to Buncrana Road, close to the Applegreen filling station and the Harbour Hotel. The woman has been named locally as Rebecca Brown from Derry, who had been staying with friends in Ludden. Ms Brown died at the scene and in her short life clearly made a huge impact on many, many people, given the outpouring of tributes and grief, of course, and just thinking on her family and her friends and everyone affected by it. It's incredibly, incredibly sad. Reading on here, Gardaí investigating how the collision happened in the townland of Ludden at 3:15am yesterday morning. No other person was injured. The main Derry to Buncrana Road was still closed yesterday evening with local diversions in place. A technical examination of the scene was to be carried out. Gardaí are appealing for anyone with information to contact them at Buncrana Garda Station or the Garda Confidential line. As per protocol, the road traffic collision has been referred under Section 102 of the Garda Síochána Act to the Garda Síochána Ombudsman Commission, who will carry out an investigation into the circumstances of the tragedy. The Derry News this morning, the newly elected members of Derry City and Strabane District Council are facing a baptism of fire right from the off. The 40 councillors are this morning taking their seats on the one council in the north most impacted by swinging funding cuts initiated by the Department for Communities. Derry News understands the Department of Communities recently informed Derry City and Strabane District Council the rate support grant across the north is being slashed from 8.294 million in 22-23 to 4.9 million in 23-24, a cut of 4 million, just over 4 million. Okay. On to the Irish Independent now, and bit of kite flying, bit of an advert, you could say, on the front of the Irish Independent. Fine Gael is pushing for a tax break of €1,000 a year for workers on the average household income ahead of coalition talks on the budget this October. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar's party wants considerably larger cuts to income tax and universal social charge than in previous years as a result of the record budget surpluses being projected over the next 4 years. The call amounts to an opening salvo from Fine Gael ahead of budget talks with Fianna Fáil and the Green Party that are expected to get underway later this summer and continue into the autumn. Any tax breaks for workers will ultimately have to be approved by the Fianna Fáil Finance Minister Michael McGrath, who's likely to face an unprecedented clamour from ministers across the three coalition parties for major tax and spending measures following projected budget surpluses of 10 billion this year, 16 billion next year. Writing in today's Irish Independent, three Fine Gael junior ministers, Jennifer Carroll McNeill, Martin Hayden and Peter Burke, argue that tax relief in the next budget has been well earned and should go further than in the budgets of 2022 and 2023. So it'd be about what they're looking to put €20 a week back in the pockets of the workers, it seems. On to the Irish Times now, and parental tolerance of underage teenage drunkenness has increased significantly in the past 4 years, according to latest research by Planet Youth, a wellbeing strategy for young people in the west of Ireland. So this effectively means that we are less inclined to be perturbed if our young people are drunk. Just over half, 57% of almost 4,500 teachers in their post-junior cert year reported that their parents would be against it or totally against it if they got drunk. 4 years previously, 72% of teenagers surveyed at the time at the same stage of their education said their parents would disapprove of them being drunk. So, as I say, us parents and guardians getting more lenient, it seems. In-depth lifestyle surveying of 15 and 16-year-olds in all 91 post-secondary schools across 3 counties show those who reported parental tolerance of drunkenness were 3 times more likely to have been drunk in the previous 3 months. 1 in 5 of all pupils surveyed said they regularly get alcohol from their parents, while 30% reported having been drunk in the last 30 days. But I mean, those are big figures, but let me flip it the other way, because teens get an awful bad press, I think, sometimes. 4 out of 5 pupils don't get drink from their parents. So 4 out of 5 don't get drink from the parents, and 7 out of 10 teenagers haven't been drunk in the last 30 days. Just to flip it a little bit, I think is only fair. Staying with young people, and in the Star today, it tells us that almost 100 children called a crisis pregnancy helpline that provides information on abortion services last year. They were among 11,551 calls to the HSE's My Options service, which also provides information on continued pregnancy supports. There was a huge surge in calls in 2022, which increased by 20% from 9,651 in 2021. A total of 91 of last year's calls related to girls under 17, according to details released to the Star under the Freedom of Information Act. Dr. Madeline Nidalia, a member of the Irish Medical Organisation's GP committee, says My Options is a great service when someone gets a positive pregnancy test and it is unplanned and they want to consider a termination. Very often their first port of call will be that My Options phone line. On to the Mail this morning. Sinn Féin Vice President Michelle O'Neill has called on the Irish and British governments to meet and come up with a plan now to restore power sharing at Stormont. Her demands came as Sinn Féin's council election triumph made it the biggest local government party in the north for the first time. Ms O'Neill said the British-Irish Intergovernmental Conference must resume to plot a route to restore the Assembly. She told the media it's not a tolerable situation. There shouldn't be any more delays, and I want to see a plan on the table as to how we are going to get back around the table to make politics work. But the DUP's Jonathan Buckley said voters had endorsed his party's position of keeping the power-sharing institution down until concerns about the Northern Ireland Protocol are addressed. I don't know, he needs to read the room there a little bit, I think. I think most people want it back up and running regardless of their political or whatever background. Well, following a lengthy count process across 11 council areas that continued into yesterday morning, Sinn Féin emerged victorious with 144 seats. That's up 39 from 2019 local elections, and replicated last year's Assembly elections results when it became the biggest party at Stormont. The DUP reinforced its position as the dominant unionist force with 122 seats. That matches its 2019 haul. Now, as I say, I don't have a dog in the race, but I wouldn't see sort of standing still necessarily an endorsement. But anyway, be that as it may. OK, on to lighter matters now. And Patrick Kielty is the new host of The Late Late Show. They made a quick announcement. And from what I've seen online, the absolute majority of people think that he's the right choice for the job. And not only that, I did note quite a few comments from people that have stopped watching the Late Late Show, saying they're going to start watching it again with Patrick Kilty at the helm. Well, Patrick Kilty says he'll change his phone number when requests for tickets for the Late Late Toy Show start. The County Down man has been confirmed as the next presenter of the Late Late Show and will replace Ryan Tubridy in September when the new season starts. The 52-year-old said, "I can't wait to get started on one of the greatest jobs in television," he added. He was overwhelmed by all the messages he's received since RTE confirmed the news on Saturday. Now, I'm not sure if it's an anti-Northern Ireland or North of Ireland sentiment, but I did note, I don't buy newspapers, but I did see an article from a columnist in one of the weekend papers who questioned if, because he's living in Northern Ireland, if he'd have his finger on the pulse sufficiently to be able to do the show. Now, I don't watch the Late Late much, but I did watch it on Friday just out of curiosity, and I don't think Ryan Tubridy has his finger on the pulse. He's probably a lovely person, okay? And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be into sort of pile-ons or criticising people for the sake of criticising it. It's just the job side of it, right? He's probably a lovely, lovely person. But he is not very well informed on pretty much all the topics he talked about on the show on Friday. So I would say, and he's got his interests in reading and American politics and stuff like that, but he does not have his finger on the pulse of what's going on in Ireland, to some extent, I think. And as I say, that's not a personal criticism of him. I'm sure he comes across as a very, very nice person. I would imagine Patrick Kilty, perhaps, although insulated by wealth, is far more likely to have his finger on the pulse. I just thought it was a ridiculous comment from a commentator, because you'd have to be sitting there thinking, well, what can I come up with negatively about this person? And that, of all the things to pick, to me, I thought was really quite remarkable. Big disappointment for Katie Taylor at the weekend and her fans. Not a great surprise to me, to be honest with you. I thought she was going to lose. I didn't want her to lose, of course, but she was in against a bigger, younger, stronger fighter, and listeners on Thursday would have hear me suggest that she was not going to win this one. That being said, and it should be put into context, of course, Katie Taylor is still a unified champion at her own weight. She's literally a unified champion. It's a fantastic achievement, and she can continue as such and fight on. But she came up against a bigger, better, younger fighter in Chantel Cameron. Shattered Katie Taylor looks set for a money-spinning rematch with Chantel Cameron after she lost for the first time in a professional bout on Saturday, with her promoter Eddie Hearn insisting it's the biggest fight in boxing. But following the Bray Bombers' shock defeat, Carl Frampton believes the iconic slugger should instead seek out another bout with Amanda Serrano at Croke Park before hanging up her gloves. Amanda Serrano does not fight either in Katie's weight category, so it does give her an advantage. I would imagine she might want to avenge that defeat. Chantel Cameron would want to become a two-weight world champion, so she might have to drop down a weight. I would suggest in Croke Park in September it'll be Chantel Cameron down at Katie Taylor's weight for all the belts again. And there'll be rehydration clauses, and I would say Katie Taylor will probably come out on top in that one in her own weight category. It's the only direction she can really go. She can't walk away from a rematch, can she? Anyway, so if you want to reflect on that, anything that was in the papers there, Brendan Devaney's going to be coming on to talk about the weekend's GEA sporting action. Did you listen to the Clare Donegal game? You couldn't have watched it. It wasn't broadcast anywhere, but we had it here on the radio. It seemed to be a game of two halves, although it was only against Clare, but still a win's a win, isn't it? That and so much more besides coming up on the programme. Don't forget, and good morning to John, Elaine and Annie watching with us across our social media. You can watch the programme every day here, of course. Go on to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and you can watch us on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your smart TV. Most of you now who've bought a TV in the last year or so have a smart TV with YouTube on it. It's certainly on your Fire Stick. Just put in Highland Radio Ireland and watch the show there. The same applies for our Facebook channels, Highland Radio News and Sport or Highland Hub. Get involved that way as well. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, it's fantastic to have you here for another week. We really appreciate all of you listening. And we're going to have our first guest for you coming up very shortly.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year.
I find that finding stuff is good. Finding that one earring down the back of the sofa. Or finding my perfect match on a dating app. I even went to India once to find myself. And at Specsavers, an audiologist helped me find sounds I hadn't heard for years. With PRSI, the hearing aids were free. I find that extremely useful.
Find your lost sounds. Book a hearing test at Specsavers. Terms and conditions apply. You'll find them on our website.
Bigger really is better when it comes to great value in TVs at Ben Sweeney Euronics. Raymond Sweeney here to tell you about some of our big screen TVs, like the LG 55-inch Smart TV for €529 with the free LG X-Boom portable speaker worth €200, or the LG 65-inch screen for €649 and the amazing 70-inch model for just €749 while stocks last. Get the screen you've always wanted for less right now at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre Dunlow.
Hiya, I'm Patter the Piggy Bank. Come here, will I tell you what has me tickled pink? We just got a home energy upgrade with significant government grants from SEAI for attic and wall insulation. You name it. Now we can huff and puff and blow outside and we don't feel a thing. Take it from me. With these savings, you'll be on a pig's back in no time. Search SEAI Home Energy Upgrade to reduce your use and your energy bills and discover a new world of comfort.
Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
21 minutes past 9. Now, Gardaí are investigating a fatal road traffic collision that occurred at Lunnon Buncrana in the early hours of Sunday morning at approximately 3:15 a.m. A female pedestrian aged 21 years was struck by a Garda patrol car. Gardaí are appealing for anyone with information to contact them at Buncrana Garda Station on 074 932 0540. The Garda confidential line can be reached on 1800 666 111 or any Garda station. Now, as is the protocol, the road traffic collision has been referred under Section 102 of the Garda Síochána Act 205 to the Garda Síochána Ombudsman's Commission. Now, the 21-year-old woman that died has been named as Rebecca Brown. Father Michael McCaughey of the Three Patrons Parish in Derry joins us on the programme now. Thanks very much for taking this call, Father. It's awful that we have to speak under these circumstances, of course.
Good morning, Greg. It's very sad for the family. It's very poignant when you hear a mother say last night that her daughter went out and she didn't come home. I was very touched by that statement, and the mother also refers to the fact of how her own mother, and I had dealt with the family at this time, and they're a lovely family. Her own mother had died during the pandemic, and as we all know, it was a very difficult time for families, and how she had lost two very special people in her life, her own daughter and her mother, and just to be with them yesterday at lunchtime or after lunchtime, her wider family circle, and all her many friends standing in the street. Rebecca is from St. Joseph's Church, Whitechapel area, the Gallia part of our parish, and there's a very close-knit community there, and just to see all her friends from school days and through the past years just gathered in the street is very touching. And just to visit the family last night, then her parents and her brother were present there, and a wider family circle, as I say, a very close family, a very good family, and he just talked about this young daughter and how precious she was to them as a sister, as a daughter, as a niece. He used the words amazing and beautiful, and how she just loved life.
It's incredibly difficult, Father, isn't it, to know what to say or how to comfort people in such an unthinkable tragedy that perhaps doesn't even make sense or seem real yet.
Yeah, like no words that I can say or no words that we can offer to a family at this time make sense in terms of just their questions, their unknown, as I say, that sense of what has happened here. But again, we just stay with family. We offer them a time of prayer and a prayer of comfort, just in some little way. And we talked about how this girl was very fond of taking photographs, how she was always creating memories. And I suppose for them, the memories just of, I say, her leaving on Saturday and going to Buncrana, and then this happening early yesterday morning. And just our presence is important to people, and it's lovely just their sense of being, coming over ourselves and just wanting that spirit of consolation.
And Father, too, in a terribly short life, just 21 years, Rebecca seemed to have so much of an impact on other people around her. And I was thinking too, and I noted as well, just in terms of the outpouring of sadness and tributes, that they were from worldwide. You know the way it is now, Father. People choose to travel. So you had people that are far away from here now, friends that would have grown up with Rebecca that are perhaps, you know, experiencing life in other parts of the world. The point I'm trying to get to is that for such a young person, she had such an impact on others, and those ripples are being felt right across the world this morning.
That was very obvious, Greg, yesterday afternoon, as I say, when you go down to the street where she lived, to go into the home, beside the many friends of her age, of just shedding tears, sharing the stories of their memories of this young lady, and just again asking why or what is going on there. But again, just their sense of community and their sense of offering support and in their own way to each other. And that's so important just to our young people. And like them, they ask the questions of what has happened here and where do we go from here. And just for them, it's just an important of being together. She was a young hairdresser, evidently well respected, and as I say, bubbly in life and told, and just loved that sense of company, that sense of family, and the friends of each other.
It's just incredibly sad. And in her mother's own words, she went out and very sadly didn't come home. Our thoughts are with her mum and dad, and as you mentioned, her brother Ethan, and the wider family, of course, and all her friends and everyone who she touched. And lots of people as well, Father, be affected by a tragedy like this, even if they don't know the person involved. It affects all of us.
It does indeed. I had Mass here this morning, and just people are touched just listening to the young life, the young girl, and as I say, they're a very good family, wider family circle, and are known and respected. And it touched the lives of all of us in so many different ways. Just how or what to do. How, as the mother said, how do I move on, or how do I cope with today and tomorrow? And we just take each day as it comes.
Yeah, and as you've mentioned, the importance there of community and those around us, Father Michael, it's so important, isn't it, in the days, weeks, months and years ahead. And the local community won't be found wanting in that regard.
Certainly not. They're very good family, good people, and good community. As I say, there's associated to St. Joseph's Church, known as the White Chapel here in the city, and it's a very, very strong, good community of people who have journeyed together and have faced a lot of struggles through the years, and a lot of tragedy and different circumstances, but again rallied together in a good spirit of kindness and support and care for each other. And that's so important at this particular time, and again for the future. Yeah, and
all of us listening today are all thinking on Rebecca and her family, and yourself, Father. It's difficult for you and the emergency services as well, and hopefully all the strength that is required is found to get through life effectively. That's what we have to do. Unfortunately, it can be cruel at times, but we just hope that everyone gets the strength that's needed.
It's amazing just to hear the mother say that yesterday, just to acknowledge all those people from yesterday morning, who were there to help them and there to support, and no doubt in the midst of many questions. But again, that spirit of kindness that was very real to them yesterday, and they were very appreciative of that, even in their own grief last night. So we're
okay, Father. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. God bless.
That's Father Michael McGaughey there.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at the Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Looking for a flexible, affordable home improvement loan? From your kitchen renovation to getting your garden barbecue ready, B&S Credit Union's Renovate Loan is ready to go. For loans from €5,000 to €70,000, visit our website at bnscu.ie or freephone 1800 290 390, where our dedicated and experienced loans team will be delighted to help you. Loans are subject to approval, terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Councillor Jack Murray. Good morning to you, Jack. Now, I'm sure before we get to what we invited you on the programme to talk about, you'll want an opportunity to pass on your condolences to Rebecca's family and friends. That awful tragedy in your area, effectively.
Yeah, of course, when I listened to the priest there talking, I suppose everything pales in comparison. What we're going to talk about pales in significance when you hear the stories and just realise the grief that so many people are going through today. So just on behalf of everybody in the community in Buncrana, I just want to extend my condolences to Rebecca's family. Just they go through an unspeakably difficult time, and just hope they can get the strength and realise just the level of support, not just in their own city or Derry, but in Buncrana as well, as they try to come to terms with such an unspeakable tragedy. Yeah, indeed. But as I say, we invited you on to talk about what you've described as an inundation, if such a word exists. You've been inundated by calls and messages and stopped in the street as well by locals who are frustrated by what they see as a decline in public services in Buncrana. Is that something that you see as well? Absolutely. It's no exaggeration to say I've been inundated. I've been walking up the main street and getting stopped by people, going through shops. People stopped to talk about it. My phone hasn't stopped. You'll see local businesses have been given out on social media quite rightly, given out about what they see as a reduction in public services in Buncrana. And this is something that people would have been fearful back in 2014 when the town council was to be abolished. And I still stand over that was a retrograde step. We had public meetings at the time. People would have met with a senior council executive at the time saying they didn't want to see Buncrana slip back or services slip back if the town council went, and unfortunately I have to say that is the case. Why is that though? Because and is it measurable? And I mean, obviously people will see maybe the roads don't seem to be as clean as they were, or the green spaces aren't as well maintained, or what have you. But I mean, are you able to ascertain, are there less staff? Is there less money? Has the schedules changed? Like, is it tangible what's changed? Yeah, there's the staff that we have are being stretched the whole way from Bridgend round about to Ballyliff, and so that itself would stretch the capability of the staff that we have. But even smaller things like the mower that we would have to cover the grass in Buncrana. Now, the level of grass that needs cut in Buncrana has significantly increased in recent years as Swan Park has doubled in size, so we would actually need additional resources rather than less. But that mower now is being shared with Moville. And there was 52 members of staff coming across from Moville to take the mower, transport it across, and it'll go there for 2 days. And you can have problems there in that if the moor's been used for 2 days in Moville, it could come back, say Monday and Tuesday, it could come back to Buncrana, it could be raining Wednesday and Thursday. So you've lost a week there in growth in that being maintained. That's just a small example. Now, I suppose the real tipping point that people have been angry about is there's going to be a reduction in the street sweeper in Buncrana. Now, that's a result of the cost of the contractor that has gone up. Now, to be fair, it's gone up for the first time in 14 years, but the budget hasn't been set aside to accommodate that. So they're looking at a reduction in the level of, or the amount of days that the streets will be swept. And in the last 2 weekends in particular, in the mornings on Saturday and Sunday, the town was just covered in litter. And I was contacted by the tidy towns who were out every weekend lifting litter, but they were just completely overwhelmed by it. And unfortunately, they spoke to a number of tourists who were on Buncrana Main Street in that morning. They couldn't believe it, what had happened here. So again, that's another problem that needs to be addressed. We can't slip back. I understand that we need more money.
No, and in this day and age too, as well, because of we have that instant reaction in terms of pictures and reviews and what have you. If this is not sorted out as we head into the tourist season, which has already begun, you could argue, of course, it's the reputational damage to Buncrana as well, that it starts getting a reputation for being unkept. And once that sort of, I'm on about nationally and internationally, once that starts, it's hard to reverse that. We're going backwards when we should actually be going forwards, particularly with recent announcements of, that big application, 20 million odd, isn't it, for an investment to the shorefront and the leisure centre and what have you. This should be a time where, we're moving forward, not backwards.
Absolutely. We don't want Buncrana to get that reputation. Thankfully, Buncrana doesn't have that reputation at the minute. We have a Tidy Towns committee there that's churning out gold medals year after year because of the huge amount of work they've done. And in conjunction with the council staff on the ground have been fantastic and doing everything they can. And since I raised this issue, I've been contacted by a number of members of staff in the council who agreed with what I've said, and we're kind of grateful that it highlighted, because they want more resources, because they're all local people. They're all people from this community, and they want to do their best, but they feel they just need additional resources to do it. And as you say there, look, it's a very positive time for Buncrana. We're looking at over €20 million into the shore front. That's going to include the leisure centre. It's going to be absolutely seismic, the level of investment that we're going to see in Buncrana. But we have to get the ABCs right. We just have to get the normal, the grass cutting, the street sweeping, because it'll take away from it. If we invest all this money but we still don't keep the streets clean, it'll be for nothing. So I think we need to move forward. I think it can be a great time for Buncrana, but we just need to get on top of this right now.
Right, okay, so let's get down to solutions then. This is not party political. Representatives from Ryder, and in fairness, in Buncrana have always worked very well together, don't get me wrong, but my point is that all councillors will agree on this. So what needs to happen? What does the executive need to do? So let's start with street sweeping. Is it to increase the budget, and in terms of the maintenance of green spaces? No one wants to take anything away from Moville. So is it employing an extra 2 or 3 staff, an extra lawnmower? So what are the solutions to the problems we're talking about here, so that when I speak to you in a month or 2 months or 3, we can see if they've been actioned upon?
Yeah, it's not complicated. I spoke to the chief executive during the week too, and I raised these concerns with him. And to be fair, now he was sympathetic and was hopeful of finding solutions on these. I think in the moor, Moville doesn't need a moor, so I think we just need to rent a second moor to cover that problem solved. Do we have that? I do think we need more gardening staff. Buncrana has 1 full-time gardener, supported at times by seasonal staff, but when you compare to the likes of Letterkenny, I think they've 6 or 7. I think that we're way below that. When you have the likes of Swan Park, we do need that additional staff. And again, then with the street sweeping, we just need to find that budget. The chief executive said he directed the staff to try and source funding from within their own budget. Failing that, we're going to have a meeting. As you say, it's cross party political. I'll be working with Serena Donaghy and Nicholas Cross on this. We're all on the same page on this, and we'll be looking for solutions. So hopefully we'll get together with all the relevant staff and try and carve out a solution to this and identify the monies that are needed, because I do think everybody wants this. We just need to make sure it happens. I've moved a motion now that will be discussed at the plenary sitting at Donegal County Council next Monday, and I've asked for a review of all services as they stood in 2014 in Buncrana before the Town Council was abolished, and as to where they stand today, and if there is a shortfall in these, because there was a commitment back in 2014 that Buncrana would never see a reduction in services and would always maintain the same level of services that they'd enjoyed under the Town Council. So I've asked to review that, and if there is a shortfall, to live up to that commitment and to fill the gaps of that shortfall. I think that's the least that the people of Buncrana and the ratepayers of Buncrana deserve.
All right, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Councillor Jack Murray there, 086 60 25,000 if you're in that area and want to have a comment. I want to let you know that there is a coffee morning raising funds for Irish guide dogs. It's taking place in the Station House Hotel Letterkenny on the 25th, Thursday the 25th of May. So it's between 11 a.m. and 12 noon. It's a coffee morning in the Station House Hotel Letterkenny. All funds raised for Irish guide dogs. Now, can you help this listener? I'm sure you can, because you're incredibly clever and resourceful. Greg, I got a new wooden worktop in my kitchen, and this week my grandson spilled superglue on it. Does anyone now know how I can get it off? Now, I can come up with a few suggestions here, but we need tried and tested solutions that perhaps won't damage the wooden surface. Now, hopefully at this stage it would just be the laminate, not the laminate, but the varnish. But anyway, I haven't a clue. Why am I talking? I got a new wooden worktop on my kitchen. This week, my grandson spilled superglue on it. Does anyone know how can I get it off? WD-40, no. Anyway, it's quite serious, really, in kitchen top terms. So how do you get dried in superglue off a wooden counter surface? 086 60 25,000. I know you have the answer. I just need you to pick up the phone and let me know. Right, okay. Catching up on some comments from a very busy few days last week, as you can imagine, and lots of you text in as it relates to the conversation about refugees, particularly and accommodating them, particularly from the Friday panel. The refugees arriving here from the likes of Ukraine and Syria, says this listener, is not the problem, but rather those who are mostly male from other countries arriving without documentation and being placed within small communities rather than within processing centres. Government policy is way too slack on migration, and the likes of Paul Murphy calling concerned residents far right and fascists doesn't help. Hi, Greg. How can we build housing for families when there's people like this subjecting the countries crying out for housing? That's off the back of our conversation as it relates to the building of apartments in Letterkenny. Right, okay, stay with us. Back to more of those in a minute. Brian is joining us on the show now. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Greg.
Good to have you on the show. Right, you went out for a meal in the south of Donegal. What was your experience?
Well, it was a good experience up to a certain point.
When it came to paying the bill, I suppose.
When it came to paying for it, we got the bill, paid the guy cash, and was getting prepared to pay a tip. When I seen they had already taken a tip, a 10% tip, I was added a service charge onto the bill, which I thought was a bit cheeky and presumptuous. I never said anything. We were leaving at that stage. There was a band of musicians come on to set up, and we were kind of in the way, and we were going elsewhere in the town. So we left, but I thought it was a bit cheeky at the time that they're adding them now onto your bill.
And there was only two of you, and you spent, well...
Only two with the bill.
You must have spent about 100, 110, 111, did you?
The bill was 114.85 plus 10%. It was €126.
Which is not insignificant, because especially considering that you were about to leave a tip which would have been based on the treatment you got, the quality of the food, that was at your discretion. So as you're reaching in, you noticed, hold on a second, they've already decided that they deserve a 10% tip.
So I'm wondering, were other people in the same position where they tip on top of their tips that was already taken?
But you thought this was cheeky?
I thought it was cheeky. I thought it was very presumptuous. First time I ever came across it, and I've eaten the place before, and there was never a service charge on it. Now, whether I had a few drinks in me, had a bottle of wine at our meal, whether, I don't know, the server maybe thought I'd been none the wiser.
And do you know, and this is, we're speaking after the fact, and you hadn't come across this before, but do you know sometimes in small writing across the bottom of a menu, it can say, plus a 10% service charge, or yourself in the wee terms and conditions. Like, do you think this is common practice, or do you think maybe you were ripped off a little bit?
I think was ripped off a little bit, to be honest. I didn't see anything in the menu, or there was nothing. If there was a service charge, it should be pointed out to you that there's a service charge. You expect a service. If you go out for a meal, you expect to be pampered for the prices that you're paying. There was only the two of us, and we didn't have a starter. We had one dessert, we had a main course. I had an Irish coffee to finish off. That was it.
My God, you must have had a big steak if that was the price of it, or else maybe you had more.
35 euros. 35 euros.
Maybe you had more than one bottle of wine, Brian. I don't know. But
just
you see,
one bottle of wine. One bottle of wine was €29, which was, I thought it was,
okay.
That's what you pay when you're out.
Is it? You wouldn't want me whining and dining you, Brian, because you wouldn't be getting a €29 bottle of wine. I'm not joking. You're right. That's just be warned. But Camille, you see, the thing is for the sake of the tenner too, this business has probably lost itself quite a bit of money in the future, because I think you've stayed in that they provide some accommodation as well, and you've stayed with them in the past. And for a tenner, it's left a taste in your mouth. It's probably enough to put you off either eating there or staying there again. So for the sake of the tenner, how much have they lost from you over the next couple of weekends or whenever you might go back?
We were staying in the hotel close to the place, and the following morning we opted out of breakfast. We had room only, so we were going to get our breakfast late on the day. It was a bit of a session the night before, but it was a late sort of a session, the music do that we were at.
Yeah.
We opted out, and they would have got the breakfast as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Up the street and got it up the street.
Well, we can say you were in Bundoran, right? I'm just curious. You're from you went down to Bundoran, did you? Like, have you? Because we heard. I'm just trying to get a sense of. Do you see any change in the town? Like, is it as busy as it once was before? Because we were speaking to some people saying that they're concerned the nighttime economy in Bundoran is waning a bit. Or did you have a great night, or what's the crack?
I thought it would have been busier on a Friday. Over the summertime, I'm sure it'll be busy. There's plenty of visitors coming down, holiday makers.
Yeah.
But in general, everywhere, with the cost of living, people are tightening up their belts to They have other priorities, bar holidaying or eating out to pay for.
Well, with the cost of the meal at that, right? And I mean, it's probably around about where you'd expect it to be, maybe a little bit more. I don't know, but anyway, my point being, Brian, it makes eating out far more. Something you have to consider far more, doesn't it? That's not like 69 or 75 euro for the two of you. Like when you're getting up to the 120 mark, we're heading into real once-off treat territory, aren't we?
Yeah. The price of the food wasn't an issue at the time we were out to treat ourselves, regardless of how much it was going to cost. But it was just the cheekiness of adding on a 10% surcharge onto it.
Yep.
Which I thought. I never said it. I mean, I paid it cash and was going to round off the bill. Tell them to keep the change off the bill, which would have brought it to 130 plus another €10.
Yeah.
Looked up, but I seen that and I thought, no, I don't like that now.
Yeah, right, okay. Brian, listen, I hope you had a good weekend anyway. It sounds like you did, even though you weren't happy with this unannounced sort of a surcharge. But thanks very much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
No problem, Greg.
All right, Brian, take care of yourself. What do you think out there? 086 60 25,000. Should it not be at the customer's discretion? That's what this texter believes. Yes, Greg? A tip should be at your own discretion. Why should we pay the wages of staff when you are already paying for the food? Now, the thing I would say about that, is it going to the staff as well? Because that's another question. And I'm not sure where we're at with that legislation, and I'll double check it as we head into a break here. But you would want to be confident too. I could find it far more palatable if I thought it was going in addition to staff's wages. So it actually was, it's hard to get staff, and this is extra money for them to make it worthwhile for them. But does it go into the staff's pockets in addition to the wages, or is it, as this listener suggests, just a supplement, a contribution effectively to the restaurant to pay the wages? I don't know. What do you think? Get involved in the conversation. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Right, we've got some suggestions as how you get super glue off a wooden work surface. Set your ears to stunned. That's coming up in about 2 minutes.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
The wind is our greatest natural resource. We're harnessing it to provide cleaner, renewable energy for homes across the country. Switch to SSC Airtricity and get the wind working for you. Switch today and get 15% off electricity and gas. Switching couldn't be easier. Simply go to sscairtricity.com. SSE Airtricity. This is Generation Green. EAB €3,466.43. Offer from the 15th of the 2nd, 2023. Rates valid from the 1st of the 10th, 22. Subject to change. 1 year standard unit rate discount for new home gas and electricity customers and direct debit and e-bill. For details of EAB, T's and C's, rates, exit fees, standing charges and green energy, see sscairtricity.com.
Tommy Marin here, writer of It's the Real McCoy and Three Hail Marys. Join me at Ongrain on Letterkenny for my new show Celebration Ireland, Saturday, May 27th. Hilarious sketches, sing songs and so much more. Celebration Ireland, Ongrain on Letterkenny, Saturday, May 27th. Book on 07491 20777 or ongrainon.com.
Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
Hi, Pauline McLean here, sharing something really important. When someone's having a stroke, minutes matter because 2 million brain cells die every minute. So call 112 or 999 if you see any of these FAST signs. F for face, has it fallen on one side? A for arms, can both be held up? S for speech, is it slurred? T for time, it's time to call 112 or 999 fast. Learn more at irishheart.ie.
Okay, we'll perhaps start with the least constructive suggestion as to how to get super glue off your work surfaces. This listener says, don't know, but it'll be a sticky handling. Thank you for that. But more constructive here, get the kitchen fitter back. He can scrape it off and use paint thinners. Not an easy job, but should work. And this is the one I thought of, but didn't want to say it in case I got sued. Iron brown paper on top. So put the brown paper on top of the glue, get your iron out. It'll melt the glue or soften it. Now, I wouldn't go too hard. I'd go a little bit first and then lift it off. Just a suggestion. Or maybe, and this one is my suggestion, you could try maybe a hairdryer just to soften it, maybe. I don't know. Now, on to some other calls here. Driving down the Creaslet to Dunfanaghy Road with family to enjoy a lovely Sunday yesterday when we came across 3 motorbikes coming at such speed, racing one another as if they were on their own road track. At one point, the driver of one of the motorbikes overtook so quickly between 2 cars, he nearly took a wobble. It was pure luck he didn't. This is what is causing fatalities. These drivers have no consideration for their own lives, let alone anyone else's. This was at lunchtime too. We were so shook, it really did tarnish the day. That's how bad it was. And I've seen a couple of instances myself over the weekend of bikes going through. There's some traffic works in Donegal town at the moment. Must have got up to 80 or 100 in the very short space between lights. It's just that time of the year. The issue with cleaning streets, says this listener, is mainly down to dog fouling and its owners who are to blame. Why has dog fouling suddenly become such an issue on footpaths? Is it time we got heavy-handed with fines for people? Yeah, I think there's a strong argument for it. No excuse. I understand what you're saying, but in terms of the road sweeping, we heard from Councillor Murray there that it's sort of maybe in the weekends, on a morning where it's obviously human waste that's the issue as well. But certainly dog fouling. Maybe there's more dog ownership now. Is that why we're seeing more dog fouling? This caller says, I suggest they don't cut the grass until all the dandelions go to seed. Bees, flowers, insects are all around my garden now, and it's a delight to see. Yeah, indeed. I think it depends what you have sown, though. I wonder, because if it's just overgrown grass, it can look quite messy. But if it's that sort of, wild, seedy look, it actually does look. It can look really quite nice. As it relates to tips and service charges, a caller says, personally, I don't see the need to tip Personally, I don't see the need to tip the likes of hairdressers and beauticians, etc. anymore. Very black and white thinking, but from my experience, they cost their services according to what is offered, factoring in staff time. They've also increased prices due to increased cost of living. I've never seen the need, to be honest. We don't tip shop assistants or carers, etc. Okay, let's go to Marie now. Hi, Marie. Good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. Right, you use disposable needles, and normally you take them to the chemist to dispose of them responsibly, but things have changed, Marie, have they?
I was in the last day. I had 2 bins full, and I went in, and they took them the last time, but they never came back to me to say that they would be no longer taking them. So he informed me that they're being charged. They're being charged for disposing of the bins. So I rang my surgery then this morning to see if they would take the bins, and they can't take the bins either.
Wow. Right, so you've now are stockpiling these used needles, and you want to dispose of them obviously responsibly. Are we throwing the question out to listeners there? Where can you dispose of them, Marie?
Yeah, much appreciated, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And is there just a general area you're in, just in case it's geographically important?
Well, I'm here in Letterkenny.
You're in Letterkenny, okay. So anywhere in and around Letterkenny. And the chemist won't take them any longer because there's a cost.
No.
And did they suggest they might charge you to take them back, or they just said, look, we're not doing it any longer?
It just says that they had to charge them the last time whenever they took them off me. And they says, is there any number you can ring to find out? But the place where I usually ring, which is my support in Dublin, their number no longer exists.
All right, okay.
So I can't get in touch with them.
All right, and you said the GP doesn't want them back either?
No, I'm after ringing there before I rang you, and no, they can't take them.
Okay, right. So the question is a simple one there. Where can we responsibly dispose of used needles? The chemist isn't an option anymore.
Sharp
the GPs...
bins.
Yeah, sharp
bins.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I have bins that I put them into, and I close them off then, so they just take the bins.
Ah, I get you. And that keeps everything contained. Okay.
Yeah, there are no handling as such, like it's just 2 bins.
Yeah. And pardon my ignorance, you couldn't put them in general waste, Marie?
I don't know.
So we'll ask that question as well. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah,
Marie,
we'll
get an answer for you one way or other. Hopefully it's a positive one. Thanks for your time.
That's great. Much appreciated, Greg.
It's our pleasure,
Thank
Marie.
you.
Have a lovely day. Take care of yourself. So anyone out there, Marie has 2 of these bins that are filling up now with disposable needles. The chemists do not take them any longer because they're charged for them to be taken from them. And the GPs are not interested either. They're not taking them back. So there's going to be a lot of people out there in the same situation. Marie seems a little bit nervous about putting them into general waste, which I can understand there as well. So let us know, what does she do with these needles in the Letterkenny area or anywhere for that matter? 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. Or if you prefer just to give us a call and chat to Caroline O'Neill, the number there is 074 91 25,000, 074 91 25,000. Right, coming a little later on in the programme, well, we've got plenty coming up for you. Brendan Devaney is going to be in, of course, or on the programme at the very least, talking about the weekend's GEA action. If you have any commentary on that, maybe you want to talk a little bit about Katie Taylor fight or anything, hurling, it's up to you. Whatever you want to talk about, that's sport. But anyway, you know the numbers, whatever you want to chat about. Okay, we're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices. Stay right where you are, and we'll be back with more after 10.
In this week's RTE Guide, today shows Sinead Kennedy on long-distance relationships and how parenthood has changed her life. From biking to bathing, our out and about issue is bustling with tips for things to do this summer. And from Barbie to Oppenheimer, we preview summer's big movie releases. Everything and more. RTE Guide, on sale now.
Get ready for spring-summer with the Villa Rose V-Spa. Our luxurious body scrubs will leave you feeling smooth and silky, and we offer waxing and sugaring hair removal options so you can be beach ready in no time. Book now and take advantage of our amazing promotions: an introductory €20 gel nail offer or €50 luxury pedicure promotion throughout May. Look your best in your holiday with fresh skin and nails. Check out our full offerings at villarose.ie. The Villa Rose V-Spa, your destination for spring-summer beauty.
Join us for the Hyundai 232 Celebration Week, May 22nd to 28th. Celebrating Ioniq 6, winner of World Car Design of the Year, World Electric Car of the Year, and overall World Car of the Year 2023. And the Ioniq 5, winner of the same awards in 2022. Visit the Hyundai 232 Celebration Week to order your new Hyundai from our multi-award winning range, including Ireland's best-selling car, the Tucson. Hyundai, a class apart.
The 232 Celebration Week is now on at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny, until Sunday the 28th.
Mum, hi, I'm at the Garda station, but it's nothing. I told this girl I was seeing for a while that I'd put shots of her up online. Shots she sent me, so they're mine, really. I only said I'd do it, but the guards are saying that's a crime now. It's not my fault, Mum. I didn't do anything. I only said I would.
Threatening to share intimate images is a crime with serious consequences. Contact your local Garda station if you need to report it. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. A post-mortem is being carried out today on the body of a young woman who died after she was hit by a Garda car outside Buncrana at the weekend. 21-year-old Rebecca Brown from Gallia in Derry was struck by the patrol car as she was walking close to Ludden Beach at around 3:15 yesterday morning. The collision is now the subject of a GSOC investigation. The road has now reopened. Father Michael McCaughey of the Three Patrons Parish in Derry knows the family. He told Greg on this morning's 9 till noon show that the community in the area of Gallia where Rebecca lived is pulling together.
Their sense of community and their sense of offering support and their own way to each other. And that's so important just to our young people. And like them, they ask the questions of what has happened here and where do we go from here. And just for them, it's just an important of being together. She was a young hairdresser, evidently well respected and, had to say, bubbly in life and told and just loved that sense of company, that sense of family and the friends of each other.
Gardaí are appealing for witnesses after a young teenager was killed when the tractor he was driving overturned in County Mayo. It happened close to Claremorris on Saturday evening. The 13-year-old was treated at the scene at Scardwan for serious injuries and then brought to Galway University Hospital. He was later transferred to Temple Street Children's Hospital in Dublin. Amy Ford, Deputy News Editor with the Farmers Journal, said he passed away there yesterday.
Shortly after 8:15 on Saturday evening, Gardaí and emergency services were alerted after a tractor overturned on a local road near Claremorris in the county. And Gardaí said that the driver and sole occupant of the tractor was a 13-year-old boy. He was treated at the scene for serious injuries and removed to Galway University Hospital, and he was subsequently transferred to Temple Street in Dublin, where he sadly passed away earlier on Sunday.
Fianna Fáil in Donegal say they've been given a commitment of progress on the 10T road project this year and a specific promise that the government will very carefully consider the need for a second bridge over the Swilly in Letterkenny. The commitment was given last night when councillors and county executive members met with Junior Minister Jack Chambers. He was in the county for yesterday's National Famine commemoration in Milford. County Executive PRO Gavin McGowan says issues including defective blocks and the need for balanced regional development were raised with the Minister, who'll be Fianna Fáil's National Director of Elections for next year's local council poll. He says Minister Chambers was very positive on the issue of road infrastructure.
A number of councillors made contributions in relation to a second bridge crossing the River Swilly. It was a big point throughout the meeting, and the Minister did take on the points. Obviously, he could make no promises at that meeting, but he did say that it would be something that he would be looking at, and I think everyone knows that that is something that has to be done in order to combat the traffic and congestion that is in Letterkenny.
A €1,000 tax break for workers is among the ideas being brought to the table ahead of this year's budget. According to the Irish Independent, it would see workers on an average household income awarded the payment. The measure is being backed by 3 Fine Gael junior ministers. Fine Gael TD Colin Brophy says it's something that workers deserve.
It's something that is due to people who are on average incomes, middle incomes. So if you're on about 52,000, what we would be suggesting is that you'd get a tax break in the next budget that would be worth about €1,000. You've got to remember, we have very high personal taxation rates. Around the 2008 crash, people said, well, the economy is in a dire way and the finances are in a dire way. Well, the nation's finances have never been stronger and there's a huge surplus.
Plans to bring in warning labels for alcohol products have been signed into law by the Health Minister. It'll see warnings against drinking while pregnant, while highlighting links to cancer and other diseases. However, it'll take 3 years before the labels will be seen on alcohol products here. Minister Stephen Donnelly has been outlining why it'll take so long.
It's to allow producers to get ready for this and to make sure that we don't end up inadvertently rising costs or doing other things for producers. We have a lot of producers in Ireland, for example, doing very good work. And so really that was the agreement that was reached in recognition of concerns that the industry has raised.
Well, the forecast Met Éireann tell us it'll be dry today with cloud gradually breaking up, allowing for some good spells of sunshine to follow in the afternoon and early evening. Top temperatures today 14 to 16 degrees Celsius in moderate northwest breezes, staying dry tonight under broken cloud, cool under longer clearer spells with lowest overnight temperatures 3 to 7, all in a light northwesterly breeze. Tomorrow it'll be mostly dry with sunny spells. Overall though, cloudier with possible coastal drizzle. Top temperatures on Tuesday 13 to 16, coolest along Atlantic fringes but mild in any sunshine, more than moderate northwest breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11. Until then, from the news team, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 22nd of May. The death has taken place of Barry Gately O'Sullivan, Carolina, Black Farm, Buncrana. His remains will repose at McLaughlin and McLaughlin's funeral directors, Buncrana, with viewing from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock tonight. Removal from there tomorrow morning to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with cremation afterwards in Lakeland Crematorium, Cavan. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or McLaughlin and McLaughlin funeral directors. The funeral mass can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Anne McBride, née McGill, Woodhouse, Ardra, reposing at her home from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock today. Removal from there to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 for funeral mass at 1 o'clock. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private, please, before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only. Anne's funeral mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. The death has occurred of John McGonigal, Terwee, Glenealy. Funeral from his late residence tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Buchan, Culdaff at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Ardevin Alzheimer's Unit, Carndonna Hospital, care of Liam Collins or any family member. John's funeral mass can be viewed live on culdaffparish.com. The death has taken place of Barbara Grimes, née Herity, the Glebe, Letterkenny. Funeral mass in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Ballyrain, Letterkenny, tomorrow morning at 11, followed by burial in the family plot in Newleck Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital. The house is private, please, to family and close friends at the request of the deceased. The death has occurred of Kathleen Cassie Malloy, Maharabeg Burnfoot. Kathleen is reposing at her home. Removal tomorrow morning at 10:15 to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Cassie's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock tonight. The death has occurred of Margaret Gilchrist, née Kelly, formerly of Ballycarrigan. Funeral Mass in St Margaret's Church, Dunfermline, Scotland, tomorrow morning at 10. The funeral Mass will be streamed live on mcnmedia.tv. And the death has taken place of Pat Hagan, 26, Ardnagrania, Buncrana. Funeral this morning with 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in Star of the Sea Church, Desertegney, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Let's join Steve live for the build-up. What's your prediction?
I've been watching this team for a very long time, Gary, and I can tell you now, the score will be 3-1, there'll be over 9 corners, and the French lad will score a header.
Very specific, Steve.
It's Bet Builder from LiveScore Bet, pal. You can combine markets from thousands of options to create your own bet. Or, if you can't make up your mind, choose from the pre-built quick bet options.
Which is exactly what you did, isn't it? Bet Builder from LiveScore Bet. Building a bet just got easier. Full account terms apply. Bet responsibly. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show this Monday morning, or you're very welcome to the programme if you've just switched on. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp or text number for you to get involved in our various conversations. And as always, you are in great numbers, and thank you very much for that. Let's get to some of your comments. In relation to Marie, just before the news at 10, a caller says there is a number on the box that you put your needles in. If you call them, they'll collect it. I called just now, and they said they will collect in the next week. Normally they take the full bin and leave me an empty one. Okay, so hopefully, Marie, that fits into the same system that you're employing. Whoever provides sharp boxes should provide instruction and advice on disposal. I'd be asking their advice. If that's the chemist, to ask their advice. If they can't do it, ask them what their options are. But we are an outlet for it as well. That's what we're here for as well, you know, we're easy to get in touch with, and people can just call us and we'll answer the phone straight away and get answers. There's no harm in calling us too. Greg, is this a record? I got my home renewal notice last Tuesday. My policy expired on Saturday. I was shocked they only got 5 days notice, but not near as surprised as I was when I saw the quote. €984. Last year, it was €600. I immediately went on an insurance comparison website and entered my details. I increased the rebuild cost, good move, and the contents insurance. I got a policy that covered all of my needs for €365. My question is, how can two companies assess the risk at such vastly different amounts? Shouldn't the Ombudsman not ask why this is allowed to happen? I'm normally lethargic when it comes to shopping around, but sometimes I get the kick in the backside that I need. And look, I think the bottom line is we aren't great at switching in this country, or we're getting better, but we're not. You know, I've only really adapted in the last 2 or 3 years. And perhaps the insurance companies realise that we just let it roll over, that you get a letter and you open it and it goes, this is from Greg Hughes House Insurance. And then you sort of start, you know, as you start reading down and you haven't got to the quote figure yet and you just go, oh, well, sure, it's a direct debit, it'll be grand. And I think they rely on that to some extent as well. Whereas the company that covered you for €365, they see that you've had no claims. They see your house is in decent condition. They see you've valued it realistically. And they want your business, whereas the other crew probably just presumed that you would stick with them. So this person, by going on a house insurance comparison website, now has an extra €600 in their back pocket, €620. Folks, switch. That's what I would suggest. Don't be loyal to particular phone companies, particular broadband. People think too they don't want to switch broadband. You know, you get 35 quid a month, and next thing you know, it's 65 quid a month, and you go, well, sure, can't be bothered, and I'd have to send the router. But forget that. As soon as your contract expires, switch again. It's all the same company, really, you know. They all use the same infrastructure. It's just a different name and sometimes a different router. And you can save yourself thousands just on broadband, mobile phone, and house insurance, for an example. A caller says, I had always thought it was a customer's discretion that a tip should be included, and that's why it's so controversial. The service charge issue is back on the agenda again. We were out for a meal some time ago and we paid on ordering, and there was a gratuity option on the bill before we had any food. How can you tip before you have even eaten? Well, really, you can't, can you? But it's very unusual to pay for food in advance unless it's a takeaway, isn't it? But anyway, be that as it may. Let me see. We've had some comments too on social media. I'd always thought it was at a customer's discretion that a tip should be included. Caroline, could you or Niamh just check where that legislation Leo Varadkar was on about it, that tipping legislation is at? Just so as... I couldn't access it just in the break because I forgot to. Robert on Facebook, you can ask for that to be removed if you want to. Plus, a lot of establishments, that goes to the business, not the staff, so always worth asking. Thanks for that, Robert. And Oisin, some people are never pleased no matter what. I've worked in the industry for years and I agree with a service charge 100%. It's people like Brian that don't leave a tip and usually are the hardest customers to serve. Some people are never happy, and I also think people like Brian have never worked in the hospitality industry. Otherwise, they wouldn't think twice about how hard everyone in hospitality works. In fairness to Brian, he was about to leave a tip at his own discretion. And it was only at that point that he noticed a service charge had already been applied. So let me flip it to you on in this regard. If he had left a tip and was allowed to leave his own tip, a cash tip, on the table, maybe that actually would have gone to the staff. You know, maybe that can go into the staff member's pocket, or maybe there's a staff jar and the staff would get to have that tip. With the service charge, that goes into the bank account potentially of the business. Does the staff see that on top of their wages? I think Brian was actually trying to make sure that he rewarded the staff for their service, but instead that power was taken from him because the business decided to stick this charge on, which he doesn't know where it's going. That's my idea going out, looking forward to a nice meal. If you're satisfied, you don't begrudge paying, and €26-30 is standard for a good bottle of wine. But Greg, you sound such a cheapskate, you would probably buy a €7 or €8 bottle of rubbish wine. That's a no-no. Okay, well, listen, I am a cheapskate. I'll put my hands up. Secondly, I don't drink wine, so I wouldn't really know a good wine from a bad wine. So I would struggle to pay €30 because I'd be paying it to watch someone else drinking. But yeah, you're right. I am a cheapskate. Another texter says, the same thing happened with me with glue on a kitchen top. It was only new. It was my own fault. Tried ironing the paper, tried everything. Mark still there after 20 years, panicked at the time, but got over it. Yeah, of course. I think it's probably the lacquer on the wood that's going to be damaged, isn't it? And there are ways to sort of restore that too, but it might take bringing in a professional to do that. A caller says, I used to work in a restaurant years ago. Tips were shared equally amongst all staff, from management to waiting staff to kitchen staff and cleaning staff, all according to the number of hours worked, which I thought was fair. If tips are being given, but again, I don't see the need for customers to pay staff. Staffing is factored into the cost price in most, if not all, instances. Another post-COVID, a lot of hairdressers and beauticians in local rural communities have started to work from home. They now charge the same price as salon prices, increased in a lot of cases due to the cost of living. I see no need to tip them with money. As many are perhaps now claiming social welfare too and doing the double with no tax or rent to pay. Obviously not all, but perhaps some. Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps that's your relationship with your hairdresser, though. If you're working from home, they may well be paying water rates as well and stuff. I work in a hotel. The staff gets the tip as per the law. Good news. ED40 to remove the glue, says another listener. Sorry, these are mixed in a little, but sure, we'll get there. I agree this tipping culture is ridiculous. I never do it. I paid good money for the service. If their bosses pay low wages, that's not on me. It's no wonder restaurants can't get staff these days. Another. Just before we take the bingo numbers, I worked as a waitress as a student in Toronto 35 years ago. There was a service charge included in the bill, and it was up to the client to leave a private tip. The waitresses didn't have to set up the tables. It was done by busboys. The tip is on the bill, and it's given to the waitresses on their check at the end of the week. Any other tips, we'd give a little to the busboys who set up. However, only staff in the dining room made over $1,000 Canadian a week. Wow. Amazing. But isn't it different in different countries too? I think I don't know, but I'm going by stuff I've seen on TV. It could be nonsense, but I was under the impression that some countries, maybe Canada, America, you get paid maybe lower wages, but because of the tipping culture, and if you do your job to a certain standard, that you can really make quite a lot of money. Again, lots of people listening would have spent their youth or spending their youth in America or Australia or Canada or whatever could advise me better. And finally, as it relates to the disposable needles, this caller says, my bin provider, Hibernian Healthcare, lift my shop bins and replace it. Okay, so Marie, maybe there's a number on that bin. You can give a call and they'll come and dispose of it for you.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 22nd of May. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S1. It's game number 21. The numbers are 48, 54, 12, 90, 33, 10, 69, 68, 75, and finally 66. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour or in by 10 and ready by 5. See mcgees.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Preparing for a special occasion? Sorrento Shoes has the finishing touch. Shoes and bags in pastel shades, bling or classic neutrals. Sorrento Shoes. Available in all leading shoe stores.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Coming up very shortly, we're going to be chatting to some, if not all, of the winners of the Donegal Garda Youth Awards. So if you want to watch that, hop on to our social media, Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube. But for now, we're going to say good morning to Derek Reaney, who's Community Development Officer for the Ulster Scots Agency. Good morning to you, Derek.
Good morning to yourself.
Good to have you on board. Before we talk about the upcoming event, tell us a little bit about the Ulster Scots Agency and its function and role.
Well, we are one of the cross-border bodies established under the Belfast Agreement. We are part of the Board of Lead, which is ourselves and Forest na Gaeilge, the Irish language body. And we are funded through the Northern Ireland Executive and the Government of the Irish Republic. And our job is to promote Ulster Scots in terms of culture, language and heritage. Our headquarters is in Belfast, and we have a regional office here in Raphoe for the last 19 years. We've been based in Raphoe as our regional office here in East Donegal.
And I presume culture, language and heritage will be high on the agenda for the Ulster Scots Heritage Day in Raphoe this coming Saturday.
Yeah, we started this event way back in 2015 just to raise a little bit of awareness of the tremendous heritage that's here, particularly in Raphoe, and you just have to look around the town to see that heritage before you. And we ran that up until 2019, whenever we had over 3,000 people here in the Diamond at the event. Regretfully, the last 3 years we have been unable to run it due to COVID, and so we're re-establishing it again out at the Royal School football pitch on Saturday coming.
And it's going to be a fantastic day of events starting at 12 noon. Tons of stuff going on. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we kick off at 12 noon. It's a free event, admission free, car parking free. It's a family fun day, and it's all about raising awareness. So we have Elbowed Out, which is a new emerging Ulster Scots traditional folk group. They were over in Ironmore for the Burns night and went down a treat over there. So they're performing on the stage during the day. We also have a group of 40 Highland dancers from a number of Highland dance groups over in West Tyrone and around Brady and around that part of the country come along to perform. We have a group called The Force, which is actually a new drum major display team. This group travels the world. They do a lot of gigs across the world at various tattoos and events. So they're performing as well. There's about 15 or 20 drum majors. And then we have about 14 pipe bands who are coming along, mostly from Northern Ireland, from as far away as County Down and around Magherafelt and that part of the country, and then of course a number from Donegal themselves.
And am I correct in saying they're playing individually and then collectively as well?
Yes, there's basically three parts to the pipe band. Because there's been no pipe band competitions in the month of May, we decided to give some of the pipe bands an opportunity to play individually in the arena, some of their competition sets. They'll be starting off next week, the following week afterwards in their competition. And then we also will have them performing as a mass band in the arena. And then shortly around about 4 o'clock, they should be doing a short parade into the centre of Rafo and back out again to the football pitch.
Yeah, and as you say, it's a family day out as well. Children's entertainment, maybe the odd burger stand, who's to say?
Yes, we have children's entertainment, so again, it's all free admission, and there should be hopefully an ice cream van and the burgers, and there's also the local parish church are providing some teas as well. So it really is a fun day out, and we also will have a stall at it just to raise awareness and give out some freebies and information about Ulster Scots and various activities that we're involved in.
Yeah, and because of the nature now of long-range weather forecasts, it's looking really quite favourable for the rest of this week and into the weekend too, with a dominant high pressure. And that's the one thing with all the organisation that you can't really plan for in advance, but it looks like the stars might be aligning for you on that day.
Yes, well, I'm a farmer as well, so I'm always well used looking at the weather forecast. And I did have a peek yesterday, and it did look quite good for the rest of this weekend into the weekend. So that's always important when you're organising outdoor events. You also have to plan if it doesn't work like that. So we have some marquees up and just for that. So we cover both, but it will be great to get a nice, dry, warm, sunny day.
And it is a new venue too. You're moving from the Diamond to the pitch as well, and plenty of parking presumably available. I presume it's not to tie up Rafo necessarily and give a big open space for everyone to enjoy the activities.
Absolutely. We were very conscious that we had built this up to 2019, and it became quite successful. We had over 3,000 people in 2019, and it did cause a bit of a logistic nightmare here in the town, just getting, and Rafo's quite busy on a Saturday anyway, so we don't want to cause any logistical problems here and traffic delays, but we will have a parade which shouldn't last much more than about 45 minutes into the Diamond and back out again. And we're hoping that will work and that'll free the town up, and people can come along and they can still spend a euro or two in the town if they want to go into the cafes or whatever. I'm sure they will, because it's only a short distance walk from the football pitch into the centre of the town.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lift for the town, as you say, particularly if traffic's able to move. Okay, listen, sounds fantastic. And there's not many things nowadays that are free, but this is, and it's next Saturday and everyone's welcome.
Absolutely. And very open we have a pipe band coming from Ironmore. We have one coming, Colin Killer, coming in from the city. So, it's a very much a cross-community event, and we're looking forward to everybody to come along. And as it is, as you say, there's not that many events now that are free, and it is free. Yeah,
and particularly interesting will be the mass pipe band. I'm not sure if there's a world record out there or you're anywhere close to it, but it's going to be that's a spectacle in and of itself.
Absolutely. And the last time we did this, which again was 2019, we had the mass pipe band in the Diamond. And on the Facebook, we had 500,000 views.
There you go.
Of the pipe band performing in the Diamond. So it just gives you an idea of the reach out there. The pipe band word is quite big. And, so it'll be great to see them performing as a mass pipe band.
So with both hats on, as the Community Development Officer, you can pray for no rain for the next week, and then you can put your farmer's hat on and then start crying about there's not enough rain from Saturday onwards. Is that...
Well, I'm from the Sperrins out in Tyrone, so I don't think I'll be crying for rain for a wee while, to be honest with you.
Indeed, Derek. Listen, come here, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Take care. Derek Reaney there, Community Development Officer with the Ulster Scots Agency. Okie doke. Law to protect employees' tips was introduced from the 1st of December 2022. The new law, we're told, will ensure that tips and gratuities are distributed fairly to staff. There's no legislation there, presumably, then, as it relates to whether you can apply a service charge. You just have to make sure that the staff get it. It's all very different now, Greg. It's no longer cash in hand. It's divided and included as part of your wage and taxes paid on it, or it was in the restaurant I worked in. Yeah, indeed, and that's in compliance with that new legislation, which I just referenced there. Shall I play? No, I'll play requests a little later on. I'll watch the Kerry Mayo game on GEA Go. What a match. It's disgraceful that this headline game wasn't free to air. The GEA obviously knew it would be a cash cow and force people to pay, and this is the problem with this system that they have, because obviously yesterday on free to air, it was a wonderful day for hurling. Did you see that exchange between Donal Logue and the presenter on RTE? What did you make of that off the back of his comments he'd made on Morning Ireland the previous Friday or the Friday before that? But anyway, listen, don't want to open up that can of worms, or do I? Anyway, be that as it may, this is the problem, you see. Kerry Mayo should have been available for us all to watch. I watched it myself, actually, to be honest with you. But then they will say, but we did show great hurling games on Sunday, and that's what you were all crying about last week. Patrick Kilty's a great choice for the Late Late Show. It certainly makes a change from someone from the RTE canteen. Yes, indeed, and that frees up more guests from the RTE canteen as well, because they don't have to take a presenter out of there. OK, let's take a break as we line up our next guests.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
If you're 70 or over, or have a weak immune system, it's time for your spring COVID-19 booster vaccine. Your spring booster will top up your immunity against COVID-19 for the months ahead, protecting you from serious illness or needing to go to hospital. You will be invited for another booster in the autumn to top up your protection for the winter months. Spring boosters are available until the end of May, so don't delay. Contact your local participating GP or pharmacy. Call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700 or visit hsc.ie to make an appointment at a HSC vaccination centre. From the HSC.
In the next 15 seconds, you're going to find out where is the best place in the Northwest to buy a bed or mattress. It's Restex Beds and Furniture Mountaintop, Letterkenny, where comfort meets style.
Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny, your only official Volkswagen passenger and commercial vehicle dealer for County Donegal. Pop in to visit our showroom on Canal Road, Letterkenny. Speak to a member of our friendly team and drive away in your dream Volkswagen. Book a test drive on 074 91 22 333 or check out our full new and used range at connellys.ie.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Donations are sought for a unique auction in aid of Mary's Meals to be held on Saturday, the 27th of May in Convoy. Any new, vintage or antique items will be gratefully accepted. Items can be dropped into Mary's Meals at Greens Market Centre, Letterkenny from Tuesday the 23rd to Thursday the 25th between 12 and 4, or directly to Convoy Hall on Friday the 26th. Your surplus can help Mary's Meals to continue to feed almost 2.5 million hungry children in 18 third world countries. For more, see Mary's Meals on Facebook. The SAD is kindly sponsored by Grove Furnishings, Lisnenan, Letterkenny.
Rightio. As you would know, the Donegal Joint Policing Committee announced and hosted, the Donegal Garda Youth Awards recently. These awards celebrated outstanding young people between the ages of 13 and 21 years. The awards recognise the good work being done by young people in every community in Donegal. Now, we've a whole host of people to talk to now. Let's start with the group awards, supporting each other, the community and others. This following the Creasler explosion. We're joined in studio by Aoife Gibbons, head girl at Mulroy College. Good morning to you.
Hi, how are you?
Good to have you with us. We also have Tig Morgan, head boy. Good morning, Tig.
Morning, Greg.
And last but certainly not least, we have Fiona Temple, principal. Hi, Fiona.
Morning. How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Do you want to outline firstly the submission really for the or how this group award was how it was earned, I suppose.
How it came about, yeah. So, so we won the overall group award, and there would have been a number of nominations that would have gone through. So we were nominated externally, which was a great honour, and it's the entire student body of Mulroy College that has been nominated and has won this award. So it really is in recognition of the support and the care and the compassion that the students themselves within the school show to each other collectively and individually throughout the year. Obviously, we were faced with a lot of challenges this year, as the entire community of Donegal was. In particular, within Mulroy College, we were directly affected through the loss of two wonderful students, James Monaghan and Leona Harper, and two of our parents also, Martina Martin and Catherine O'Donnell. But everybody in the school was affected, staff and students alike. So this award came about from others nominating us and recognising how students within the school supported each other. We also had an individual award winner too, Dara O'Shaughnessy. He's not with us here today, but maybe just to mention Dara too, as he won the individual, and to congratulate him. So I'm very proud and honoured of the students in the school. I always am, but particularly this year, just being able to experience the support that they showed each other throughout all of those challenges was great.
Yeah, and Dara is a fantastic character as well as everything else, isn't he?
He is, absolutely.
I think he's given me a touch in the past, if I'm not mistaken.
I would imagine he has.
He has indeed, and he's very good at it too. Aoife Gibbons, I mean, it's important, isn't it, we recognise the impact that this had on young people, and still continues to have, because it's all still very fresh and still very raw as well. It's not only just the lives that were lost from the school, but people that were injured. But it impacted the school greatly, and I imagine that's an ongoing piece of work just to work through that.
Yeah, that's it. And it definitely wasn't an easy time for us, especially, but I think it was the support of both, obviously the teachers were supporting us, but even the students together. So we were always encouraged to come into school and even to grieve together. They were told it was better than just to sit at home, and grieve yourself. So I think the students we were also able to, the teachers, if there was someone, upset, we were allowed to express our emotions and how we felt. And then, even the senior students, if they seen a younger student, they would just put their arm around them, say, "Oh, you're all right," or even tell a teacher, kind of give them that little bit of support that they needed.
Yeah, and it's important, isn't it? Because I suppose too, particularly when you're young, you're not, thankfully, generally speaking, you're not conditioned necessarily to have to deal with events like this. And, how do you do so? And that's where that guidance, I suppose, and working together and creating that space where, people feel comfortable expressing themselves, but also others feel comfortable in comforting them.
Yeah, that's it. So especially the younger students, might have been their first time that they experienced loss or something like that. So some of them didn't know how to deal with it, and they might have had dealt with it in different ways if they weren't given any guidance or that.
And Tyke, you're as well too. Maybe it's a little bit different for fellas, is it? I don't know. Maybe those things are changing now as well. But it's just to give everyone that sort of safe space to feel that they can express themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the school did an amazing job having everyone in, especially. There were supports brought outside of school, but I think mainly the support in the school was with the students, and especially the teachers, the relationship that they had. You had the students supporting each other, but the students also supporting the teachers. Because as Ms. Temple said, it was a tough time for everyone, not just the students. So you had the teachers there as well, and the teachers supporting the students, like I said. So it did definitely bring great support, and that's what this award was for, recognising the support and the care that the students had together.
Yeah, and Fiona, it's really nice, isn't it, that Ty recognises that, all the teachers and staff and everywhere are of the community. They're all sort of trying to process this the exact same as everyone else. They're not supermen and women as such,
No, and I think, schools they're an incredible space within themselves anyway, because of the diversity of relationships that happen there, and Mulroy College is so similar to all schools in the county and nationwide. It's all about building relationships, and where you have that, where you have a community, whether it's a school or whether it's a GAA club or whatever it is, where good relationships are there, then you can support and help each other through good times, through bad times, through challenging times, whatever it may be. And I think that's what's very present for us, those relationships. And, as Tig said there, students supported us as well. And the important piece for us, as you say, Aoife, was we were there and we were together, and that will continue. And those challenges continue, as you say, nobody's over this. This is something that
and that in and of itself, Aoife, is something that has to be managed too, isn't it? Because you could be forgiven perhaps with some of the conversation out there that, right, well, that was in the past. It's only 7 or 8 months ago, and I think we have to be careful, don't we, that we make sure that people realise, and you guys do, of course, that this is still very recent. We still have the first anniversary and birthdays and all of those things to go through, yet it's still very new.
Yeah, that's it. And suppose from maybe people from different counties that they'd think, oh, that tragedy happened and it's past now, but especially you said something like birthdays, and especially the year's anniversary and stuff like that, it will hit again, and it will kind of bring back those emotions that were there during the time, of the loss and everything, and it's going to take a long time for everyone to
just to heal.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, Fiona, as well too, that from an administrative point of view, a management point of view, having to sort of deal with the initial stages and then what comes afterwards, but also to some extent under a bit of a spotlight or a microscope scope as well, having to make decisions where there's no necessarily right decision to make as such. I'm sure that was a great challenge for you and the rest of the management and staff at the school.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when any school or school community faces any kind of a critical incident at all, but there's correct measures there in place as well, and we got huge support from NEPS, from our educational psychologists, our critical incident team from Donegal ETB, and our priority would always have been to ensure that we were looking after our students, our staff and our parents at that time. So we didn't really focus on the media or focus on that spotlight that was on us. Our entire focus was on looking after the community that we were in, but we definitely leaned on the supports that we had, and the fact that our critical incident team would have kicked in straight away, and those supports continue within the school daily from NEPS, from our ETB, from DYS, from Foróige, from all of those external people. But a lot of that happens in school anyway. Those external agencies have we would know them so well because we work with them every day. For example, Jigsaw, that works with a lot of our students. We've been part of the One Good School programme on Jigsaw for years now. So you're simply just continuing to work with all of those services, but maybe just with a different focus for a period of time. And we'll just continue to keep our focus really on the students. And I think that's where this award comes from, because that has been recognised, and it's lovely that our students in particular are being recognised for that care and compassion that they show each other.
And I think too, it's particularly nice too that it's a collective tie, isn't it? That you as a collective are being externally recognised by this. You never sought this, or you know what I'm on about, but it is it's nice to see that the support you gave each other, the community and others following the Creasler tragedy, and continue to do so. It's nice that that's been externally recognised, Ty.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a great honour and privilege for me and Aoife to accept the award, but it was an award for the whole student body, you know, and it was well deserved because going into school, you know, you could see the support from the students and the staff, like I said, and that's why the award was definitely deserved.
Yeah, that's it. You've said it. Hey, come here. If you ever want a future in radio, do you know when you've run out of things to say? Move on. Listen, you did fantastic, Ty. Fair play to you. It's not easy coming in here. And you too, Aoife, you've done fabulous as well. Aoife Gibbons, head girl at Mulroy College, and Ty Morgan, isn't it? Head boy as well. And Fiona Temple, principal. Congratulations that you're recognised like this. It's hard to choose the correct words, but I think it's really, really fitting. And make congratulations, I suppose, because it's a great combined effort from everyone that continues.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, all three of you, for calling down today. I really do appreciate it. That's Mulroy College and represents representatives of Mulroy College, the group award winner there. Right, the Community Safety Award went to the Recycled Bike Project. We're joined by Garvin Walker, youth justice worker with Froiga, Shay Kelly, Gallagher Leaving Cert student and member of the Donegal Youth Diversion Programme. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. It's lovely to be on. Thanks for the invitation.
It's great to have you on. All right, so talk to us about the Recycled Bike Project.
Yeah, well, so currently my role as a youth justice worker is to help the young people involved in our projects to engage in pro-social activities and interventions, Greg. So just for the listeners' purpose, there's 5 youth justice workers in Donegal, and we're funded by the government of Ireland and the European Union. There's 5 of us covering Donegal, a big geographical spread. And in my own case, I work specifically in Letterkenny and also facilitating just down a referral project. So the name of the game for us is to walk the path with the young people through key developmental ages through 12 to 17. And one of the ideas that we had moving forward in the referral project, and my colleague Nuala Plunkett was impressive of doing this at the start, was driving us on, was the bike project. And the bike project would basically mean that they would get bikes that come from the Guard and other sources, that the young people then will be trained by John Grant from the bike mobile shop. He would come down and he'd train and show the young people how to fix the bikes up to make them roadworthy, and then they would pass them on, like the Kindness of Strangers charity and also the Refoe Family Resource Centre were benefited from this as well too. And then later in 2023, the lads fixed up bikes as well too, and they gave them to some Ukrainian younger members. So the whole time we're working on projects like this is to help the young people, Greg, basically with confidence and self-esteem.
Right, who have you got with you there?
So we have Oisín here, and we have Shay, and these are the two guys that are involved, did all the work. So maybe I shouldn't be talking as much and let the lads who actually done the work, because as I say, I was just facilitating for them, and these boys did all the hard graft and heavy lifting, All
right, talk to us, you Oisín, talk to us about this project then.
Well, we started the bikes at the start of this year for the Ukrainian ones, because we know they'll be getting it tough coming over here, everything happened with the war and stuff, so we thought it'd be nice to do some bikes up for them and give them a wee bit of lift.
Yeah, Shay?
So
what did you did you work on the bikes yourselves?
Yeah. It was a Galacos wise. Me and Oisín pretty much doing the most work right now. But we know for the last 6 months we had John Grant coming down and helping us, showing us a few things, and I'm sure that it'll help us out too when we're out there. And we just started off by just checking the bike to see what we needed to fix. And if we needed to fix the gears, we'd fix the gears and the wheels and the brakes. And all this stuff was new to me, so it was kind of hard at the start, but we got through it. And it was good to see that they went on to be used.
What was your speciality, Shay? What did you come particularly good at?
Fixing gears.
Yeah, because that's the most complicated bit. I'd steer well clear of the gears. What about you, Oisín?
Probably the wheels, because it's the handiest.
Yes. Unless one of them turns up with square wheels. But anyway...
square wheels, I'm leaving it behind.
Garvin, you must be very proud of them. And it's great to see them recognised for the work.
For sure. And look, listen... The boys at a certain age now, you know yourself, hey, at 16 and 17, sometimes you can't see the work that you're doing, and you can't see how it's benefiting.
Yeah.
But I was delighted, and again, my colleague Nuala, who worked in Refoe as well, we really drove this project on. But the lads showed up every Wednesday. They gave their time. They listened. They participated. It really helped with their self-esteem. And as one thing I learned as a youth worker, it amazes me how how little a young person actually needs in terms of confidence. It doesn't take anything mental or massive. It's just simple stuff, a wee bit of positive reinforcement. And now some of the lads are working here now, and Shay's preparing for his leaving cert as well too, but have aspirations now to go on the apprenticeships and stuff.
Brilliant.
And I'm not saying it's directly related to that, but it's a contributing factor, you know.
And I think a big contributing factor, Garvin, is your faith in them and the support you give them to, and your passion that comes across in spades as well. So I think you've got to take a fair bit of credit too. Oisín, well done, lad. You too, Shay. Keep up the good work. All right, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. That's Garvin Walker, Shay and Oisín as well there. Right, Adam Lough joins us as well. Hi, Adam.
How are you? How are you getting on?
It's good to have you with us. Right, you were the recipient of the Special Achievement Award. Congratulations.
Thanks. Good to hear.
Okay, so you set up a rugby club, did you, in St. Columba's Comprehensive down in beautiful Glenties. What was the background to all of that?
I went to me and another boy, Mark Avigan. We went up to our teacher, Miss McPolan, and we thought that there was room for another sport, and we love playing rugby. So we worked together with her and we set it up. The school, and it's been going great ever since.
Yeah, and was the idea being that there was something else for people to do if they weren't necessarily into the obvious ones, you know, the Gaelic, the soccer, the athletics?
Yeah, because see, the great thing about rugby is that there's something for everyone. And since there's something for everyone, we reached out to like everyone. So like all the nearby towns, such as like Ardra, Glenties, Fintown, Letcher. And then we even reached out to the Spanish students and the Ukrainians as well, which was great.
So there's an inclusion. I mean, obviously you're widening the talent pool, but as well as that, there's a strong positive inclusion element to it as well.
Oh, definitely. That's one of the best things about rugby is that there's something for everyone.
So when did you establish the rugby club, and how quickly has it taken off?
Well, we started it just at the end of third year, but there's only a couple of weeks of that. It only really got going at the start of the year in September, and it's been flying ever since. It's been great numbers down every Monday.
Because, I mean, it's not just a saying, right, let's start a club. Presumably you have to find someone to coach, you have to find a place to play, you have to get the right equipment and training and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, see, I was fortunate that I actually done a rugby coaching course during that summer.
Fair play,
so I was a fully qualified youth rugby coach then by September. So that definitely came into play then.
And do you have an idea how many students are currently taking, or young people, I suppose, generally are partaking now?
Well, we have 3 age groups for the boys, under 14, under 16s and under 18s now. Yeah. And we have junior and senior girls team. So there's a wide range of ages and talent there. So that's great. There's always a great amount there every week.
Brilliant stuff. And who's that beside you? I don't have it written on my sheet. Hello?
Hello. So I'm Miss McPolan. I'm the teacher who's talking about that.
Miss McPolan, lean in so I can see you. I'm sorry, I could see the side. Yeah, I could see the side of your face, but I didn't have you down in my notes here, Miss McPolan. You must be very proud of everything. I mean, this sounds like it's really taken off.
Oh, we're hugely proud of Adam here. I mean, you know, to see him take the initiative to even come and say, you know, look, I'm a rugby fan, I'm a rugby player. You know, there's so many students here on the periphery that haven't tapped into sport. You know, and the one thing, as Adam alluded to earlier on, it doesn't matter your talent, your ability, your shape. There is a position for you on the rugby pitch, you know. So it was the reason I nominated Adam for the award was purely because, I mean, the award embodies the idea of people going above and beyond. And he's far too modest to tell you, but I mean, he coaches and refs every single week. And his reffing is, we've all seen it, it's exceptional. He forgoes the actual training himself on the pitch to coach the others. You know, I was hugely proud that we also have a female rugby team now as well. You know, he promotes it within the school. He promotes it outside. He's been on O'Neill FM. Sorry to mention a competitor, but he's been on another radio station.
I love all other media. I'm about elevating, not taking down. O'Neill FM is a brilliant radio station. Everyone can listen, just not between 9 and 12 Monday to Friday. So don't
So he's been on
don't
that.
worry about that.
Yeah. He's been on there promoting it. I mean, you know, he's running a bake sale this week to promote again the rugby. We're trying to get money together for shorts. We have jerseys, we've no shorts. He always gives a percentage of the money to charity. You see, you know, him distributing leadership. Even now, he's encouraging younger members to do coaching courses. So it's building it on with the younger members and support there to make a team. He ran the TY rugby as well.
Yeah.
We actually had Ulster Rugby come. Kevin Gallagher came from Ulster Rugby, and he was taking the TY girls, and that was a hugely popular initiative. And Adam said, "Okay, I'll take the boys, obviously under my supervision." And we had a transition year rugby training session, and that was hugely successful, and that's something we hope to have now every year.
Yeah, and it's amazing too, Adam, where things can go. It's not that long ago that I was speaking about Inishowen rugby, 50 odd years ago, I think it is, and it started off something like this, just someone like yourself planting the seed. If you look at what happened in the Letterkenny athletics, it took one person or two people to get together, and look what they established. The same with the Finn Valley Athletics Club. You know what I mean? There was people involved, but it wasn't organised, and you've got someone like Patsy McGonigal who comes in and starts something, and who's to say where it might be in many years to come. So hopefully that's something in the Glenties and surround areas, Adam, that you've started, and we'll be talking about you in 50, or maybe even speaking to you in about 50 odd years. Anyway, you must still be getting some training in, because you've got square shoulders on you, Adam, so you must be finding some time for the training. Thanks very much, Adam.
All right, cheers. Thanks.
Good man, and congratulations, and fair play to you, Miss, for nominating him. A very, very worthy recipient, and it's great to see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so very much indeed. Okay, now Councillor Jerry McMonigal's the chair of the Donegal Joint Policing Committee, and he's been in for most of that conversation. And hey, Jerry, what a fantastic group of young people right across the board there. I love these awards because it gives us an opportunity to celebrate the amazing achievements of our youth.
Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative by Garda Síochána. This is the fourth year now we've been involved in it here in Donegal. And I have to say, the young people, as you say, that have come forward and been nominated by their schools and peers and families has been just absolutely fantastic. The stuff that they've been involved in, you've heard there this morning, it's all about helping others. It's about improving themselves, but it's primarily about helping others, and their contribution to their local communities and schools is absolutely fantastic, and it's a great thing to be involved in. And I know those of us who receive the applications and then do the adjudicating, we have an awful task, but a very pleasant task in trying to bring out, because they're all winners, they're all contributors, as I say, to their community, and they certainly show what the young people of Donegal are about. And
before the years too, because obviously with the terrible Creasla tragedy, sometimes you have to grow quick emotionally, and it's amazing how they managed to do that and continue to do it, but supporting each other. Adam there, in terms of who's to say what he's achieved, amazing already, but where could come from that? The young guys fixing up the bikes, do you know what I mean? Like real proactive community-based stuff. Sometimes while all the adults are arguing with each other and this and thatting, we turn to the young people and they're on the ground doing it, Jerry. I'm not talking about me or you, but you know what I'm on about. Like, the young people are out there rolling their sleeves up and getting on with it.
They're the people living it. The young people they see the gaps. They're experiencing the pressures that are there, and more importantly, they're identifying solutions and how to help and support their peers. What Adam's done in relation to rugby and how he's been, as you said, so inclusive in bringing young girls, young boys, development into what he has is absolutely fantastic. The guys involved in the bike group, how they're in there working with Garvin, the Garda diversion program in Rafo, and how there's a positive outcome to that there. Again, it's fantastic. And when we talk about Dara O'Shaughnessy and then the Mulroy College and what they've been through, but how they've stuck together and come together and supported one another. And I think they're an example to us all,
and it seems the theme here too, though, is good, strong adults too. Garvin, particularly impressive. I was struck by him and his enthusiasm. He made me want to do something. And then we had obviously the principal and the teacher that they're there supporting, and it's amazing. Listen, Jerry, thanks very much for that. Roll on 2024. Yes, go ahead. Yes, of course.
I could just say, Greg, look, we want to really promote this award, and we would ask people. And I'm very pleased and happy that you promoted us so well today and showcased the winners and the recipients of the awards. But look, there's more young people out there doing fantastic things. I want to ask people, whether it be schools, friends, youth workers, they look around you and bring forward young people, because they need to be recognised for the great work. So it'll be opening up again shortly. Keep an eye out for it. And we would like to see a lot more applications coming in right across the county.
Yeah, and just to tag on to that, if you don't mind as well, everybody that's nominated is recognised. So simply being nominated is a massive thumbs up and a pat on the back to young people. And of course, then there's a process. So listen, we always do well at a national level, so no pressure. They have to go on and win it for us now. Jerry, listen, thanks for your time and thanks for holding on. And I'm sure you enjoyed listening to the young people in any case.
Very much so, very much so.
Take care of yourself. Thank you. News on the way.
She cuts in for the wing. Oh, that's superb. She's through and goal! Yes! She scored a world-class win.
Sarah?
Huh? Oh.
Cadbury Buttons or Dairy Milk?
Oh, gosh, sorry. Don't dream about a world-class win. Enter to win one. Meet a world-class footballer and win an epic holiday worth 8k. Only with Cadbury. T's and C's apply. Visit worldclass.cadburyfc.com.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Every year, we donate millions of euros, hundreds of hours and thousands of items to good causes. The Charities Regulator keeps a record of every charity in Ireland. So if you want to give to a charitable cause, go on our website and check so you know what your giving will be put to good use. Click, check, give. Check your giving to a registered charity at checkacharity.ie. The Charities Regulator. Please give confidently.
With a high digital online skills course, you'll feel a real difference.
I can listen to all the music I like. The bus app that's coming out, it's brilliant.
Anything you want to know, it's at their fingertips.
They're small things, but they mean something.
Learn essential online skills with simple, accessible lessons at highdigital.ie or free phone 1800 20 30 30. Brought to you by Vodafone Ireland Foundation and Alone. Vodafone. Together we can.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, another hour on the way. Stay right where you are. But first, let's get a news update. It's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A post-mortem is taking place today on the body of a young woman who died after she was hit by a Garda car outside Buncrana at the weekend. 1-year-old Rebecca Brown from Derry was struck by the car as she was walking close to Ludden Beach at around 3:15 yesterday morning. The collision is now the subject of a GSOC investigation. On the show earlier, Father Michael McCaughey of the Three Patrons Parish told Greg that the community in the area of Gallia where Rebecca lived is pulling together and supporting her family. Donegal County Council is again being urged to work with Údarás na Gcumhachta and other agencies to tackle economic deprivation and high emigration in the west of the county. The call has come from Councillor Mary Therese Gallagher, who says every economic profile highlights the issues, but nothing is being done to tackle them. Fianna Fáil in Donegal say they've been given a commitment of progress on the 10T road project this year and a specific promise that the government will very carefully consider the need for a second bridge over the Swilly in Letterkenny. The commitment was given last night when councillors and county executive members met with Junior Minister Jack Chambers. He was in the county for yesterday's National Famine Commemoration in Milford. Sinn Féin have the highest number of seats in local councils across Northern Ireland. They took 144 seats in last week's local election, surpassing the DUP by 22. The DUP, previously the biggest party, got 122. On Derry City and Strabane District Council, it was a record-breaking performance by Sinn Féin. All 18 of the party's candidates were elected to council. The makeup in Derry City and Strabane is now Sinn Féin 18, SDLP 10, DUP 5, UUP 3, Independent 3 and People Before Profit 1. And the owner of Facebook and Instagram has been handed a record fine by the Irish Data Protection Commission. It's being ordered to pay €1.2 billion for breaching the privacy of its EU-based customers by sending information from its European servers to its US ones. Meta says it will appeal. They're the headlines. Back with headlines again at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much indeed. Brendan Devaney's going to be looking back on the weekend's GEA action with us after we take this quick break. Stay right where you are.
Go straight down that bendy road. There's a child of Prague in the front garden, but if you see Mrs. Malone's washing out, you've gone too far.
National Broadband Ireland is delivering our high-speed fibre broadband network to over 560,000 premises across Ireland.
Keep an eye out for that child of Prague and you'll be sucking diesel.
We'll deliver high-speed fibre broadband straight to your door, and we have your air code so we won't need directions. Discover your delivery date at nbi.ie. NBI, building a limitless Ireland, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Donegal Tile Centre are celebrating 35 years in business and are holding a massive 3-day sale this Thursday, Friday and Saturday, during which they're offering 35% discount off selected items. Wall tiles are reduced from €16.95 a square yard to €11, with timber effect floor tiles reduced from €22.95 a square yard to €14.90. There's vanity units down from €460 to €299, and freestanding bath reduced from €1,230 to €799. Stock is limited, so don't delay for these genuine bargains. Get along this week to Donegal Tile Centre, Rossview Business Park, Letterkenny, just off the Polestar roundabout.
She cuts in for the wing. Oh, that's superb. She's through and goal! Yes! She scored a world-class win.
Sarah?
Huh? Oh.
Cadbury Buttons or Dairy Milk?
Oh, gosh, sorry. Don't dream about a world-class win. Enter to win one. Meet a world-class footballer and win an epic holiday worth £8,000. Only with Cadbury. T's and C's apply. Visit worldclass.cadburyfc.com.
Okie doke, we are now welcoming onto the show Brendan Devaney, presenter of the DL Debate. Hi, Brendan.
All right, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Shall we start with one of your guests, Declan McDermott? He's going to be on the show. Donegal Ladies Minors winning the Ulster Championship. Fantastic result. We need to see that conveyor belt of talent, don't we? And it's good to see them picking up silverware.
Yeah, and the timing couldn't be better, Greg. At the minute, I suppose, in Donegal GA, we're always looking for positive stories. It's been a tough enough year, and particularly with Maxie Kern, there's been a load of girls have decided to hang up the boots, and there's a new wave of girls coming through, and you can't have a better wave coming through if they're Ulster champions. Beaten down by a huge scoreline, 5-11. They won 5, and they made it at the start of the season in April, and there was only 4 points in it. So fair play to Declan and Barney Kern and others that are coaching the girls there. They're obviously getting the very best out of them. A huge occasion for them, to be champs at the weekend.
Yeah, indeed. Not so lucky for the Donegal male minors. Luke Barrett's going to chat to you. They come up short against Derry in the Ulster minor semi-final. But I suppose too, as you're developing, you have to sort of taste defeat too. None of us like to. But maybe that's part of it too. Maybe I'm being overly positive here, but anyway, go on, bring me down to earth.
You don't taste defeat too much. You're always top of the ratings, Greg. It's
I love you.
You're always opening the champagne. Here, no, do you know what it is, Greg? I was up in Oma in Saturday, Killyclogher. What a fantastic setup. I'd never been to Killyclogher Club. Brilliant pitch, great setup. And as ever, Greg, when you go around grounds there, the warmth of people, particularly when it's a club game, it takes it over. There's such a good vibe there. People just can't do enough for you, no matter what it is. So This Derry team, I spoke to a couple of Derry journalists around it, and they were saying even though Derry have won this competition a few years back, and that they were saying this is the best team they've ever seen at Derry underage. Boys just covering the sport for 20 years. So that was a task in hand for Luke's side. Now, first half, very, very tactical. I mean, even more tactical than you'd see in the senior men's game. Donegal sitting in because Derry have the ability to blow teams away, and they had done that at half-time for a lot of teams, including the last time we played them in the group stages. So it was 4-2 at half-time. Completely different Donegal second half. We really took the game to Derry. We couldn't get a goal. We had 3 kind of goal chances and a couple that maybe could have fell our way. Then if we had hit the back of the net, we might have had a chance to win the match. They pulled away towards the end and kicked a few scores. But listen, the lads give their all. That's all you can ask for. And certainly the work that the likes of Luke and Brendan Kilcoyne and Young McLaughlin there is doing, coaching the lads. They're coming through in terms of they've, I suppose, developed very much this season, Greg. And again, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, Derry, I mean, the future's looking really bright for them. They're going to be a bit of a powerhouse because, as I say, you know, the seniors are doing well. I don't think anyone really, you know, would relish going up against them. And then you've got the next tranche coming through as well. They're starting to get things right from the grassroots up, it seems, building from the bottom up.
Very strong schools, Greg, you know. Whereas we would, you know, look to the likes of St. Eunan's to go on the Ulster and find out like they have 3 or 4 schools playing at a certain level. So they're constantly churning out. Most of the counties in the north have 1 or 2 fairly strong schools. Like you say, Derry have 4. And that is a big plus to them as well. Plus just the pure love of the game in there. And most towns, you know, the football team is very important to the people there and that. So that's, as you say, Greg, it's hard to believe how bad it went there, but it's certainly turned now. And yeah, Derry and up, and we have to play them next in senior, which ain't going to be easy.
Yeah, indeed. We'll talk about that in a sec. Donegal hurlers in action as well. Bit of a dead rubber, really. I don't know if there's nothing we can read into that, really.
Do you know what? We were in a huge lead in the game, Greg. So we decided to start with our better team and then take them off, and Wicklow did the opposite. So they finished strong and pipped us at the game. So what's to be read into? It's hard to know. But Nicky Record coming up now in a few weeks' time. Massive occasion for Donegal, Crow Park, Greg. I'd love to be down there to see them and support them.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to make it your way, are you?
I can, as long as Oshin, I'll jump on with Oshin, sure.
Well, he's in good form this morning. Text him when we're off air. He seems to whatever happened at the weekend is in good form, and you know that doesn't come along too often. So,
well, maybe it was a Saturday game. If I drove home from Clare yesterday evening, he might have been that.
Anyway, come here. Me and you are going to get into trouble. Stop it. Right, let's get the men's seniors against Clare. Obviously, we were able to listen to it. There was no live visual coverage of it as such. It sounded pretty dour in the first half, and we have to remember who we were playing as well in Clare, no disrespect, but whatever happened at half time, they regrouped and come out and put the tie to bed. A win's a win.
Listen, second half, unreal, Greg. Where did that come from? I mean, you'd have to be made impressed with the boys. She said 6-3 at half time. I was in Oma, just about to get reaction when I heard the half time score. To be honest with you, I wasn't surprised. I kind of thought to myself, you know, having watched this, particularly against Roscommon and against Down, I thought I had real fears even going into this game, never mind the 2 that's to come. So to outscore Clare 11-3 in the second half was phenomenal. And, you know, looking into it there, really looks like some our experienced players really stood up. And there was always going to be this, we know all about the injuries and the players have stepped down, but there's still a vast amount of experienced players in there, and it was up to them to kind of guide the team. And if you look through the ratings there, you know, Patton, Kieran Thompson, you know, Hugh McFadden, Jason McGee coming on at half time, has input into that, you know, Keelan McGonigal, like a lot of guys there really stepped up. And of course, their danger man, Keenan Sexton, McCole was brilliant, you know, and I just was watching McCole. He was really coming up, and we didn't seem, I didn't think I seen the best of him this year, but Sexton's their danger man, and that was massive for him to get the better of him, take him out of the game. And of course, he had a 1-on-1 with Patton in the first half. Patton went in with a 6-point lead. It could have been something different, but that's what happens in championship. So you'd have to say, well done to the boys, well done to management as well, because that layoff, Greg, it was all, you know, everything was negative.
They've been through a nightmare, and I think, listen, this one win doesn't fix everything. There's stuff on and off the pitch, right? But these guys are out plugging away here, trying to do their best. Do you think if we're out there and there's a bit of negativity and we've given up on this season a little bit as fans, and I'm talking maybe particularly casual fans, not the hardcore element, that we get behind these lads for what's left of this now, particularly heading in against Derry, and we try and sort of park the understandable maybe cloud that seems to feel, you know what I'm on about? It's like it feels like there's this cloud here that we need to sort of try and get ourselves out from underneath it and enjoy what's happening on the pitch as best as possible.
I think this performance, Greg, has pushed that away a bit, because I think everybody now that knows anything realises we're in a bit of a tight spot. So that second half performance, brilliant, fair play to them. And at the end of the day, as you said, Greg, they're wearing a Donegal jersey. We had 5 players that kind of had their championship debut against Down and that. So we've young players in there, and it's hard on them now, because usually there's a buzz about Donegal and it's great to play and all that. So all this is kind of, and this is the first time in, so this is hanging over them a bit. So I think very much, we've got to park all the nonsense that was going now and support them now in these next couple of games. And as you said, these new lads have a future. These young lads have a future with Donegal. And I suppose until we start to turn the corner again, we just talked about Derry. Different counties go up and down a bit, Greg. But if we're really Donegal people, support people, we got to still have that bit of, I suppose, pride and back the lads in terms of what they're trying to do. Because, everybody in there is trying to do their best, Greg. And it's just, there's so many sequence of events that's led to taking us a wee bit of a downward turn, but these things will turn again, no doubt.
Yeah. What did anything else jump out at you from the weekend? Mayo looks strong.
Yeah, you know what? You're trying to figure out games from different games. Yeah. So if you looked how we played against Down were Division 3, Clare were Division 2. But Clare were relegated and Down were very unlucky not to go up. Really, Down's on an upward trajectory, Clare on a downward. And I was thinking, what are they kind of similar? It looks like, the Clare, we took them apart in the second half and they were at home. So you're looking at Mayo, Roscommon do a job on them, and then you're thinking, right, Kerry will do the same. But Kerry going through Munster, playing handy matches. Next thing, this Mayo team, who are a good side, must have went away and really put the shoulder to the wheel. They've come back fresh and just took Kerry apart. That said, they probably should have won by a lot more, Greg, and not scoring goals has been a big issue for them, and they had a load of chances.
Yeah, but they go for goals. I mean, there's a strong argument to say that, and they got away with it this time, but there was a lot of points. There was a lot of points available there, and they opted to go for goal. And part of me likes that too. Don't get me wrong, but if they'd lost by 1 or 2, it would all be about take your points and the goals will come.
Yeah. And you mentioned support there and the lads and that. Look at the Mayo support, Greg. It's always fanatical. And I know they've been up about the top this long time All-Ireland finals and that, but it doesn't seem to matter. Even if they get beat the next season, first league game, you can guarantee packed house, they support them. So I think all that there pushes young people to want to play for Donegal and represent that. So I think we've got to be wary of that. Even when times are hard, can we get out and get behind the boys? Yeah, right. Okay, you'll be running through all the action, as we mentioned, the guests already, but also former Donegal star John Gilday. He's in studio to give his opinions on the weekend's action with an in-depth look, as we mentioned there, as Donegal's win in the new All-Ireland series away to Clare, and of course then what is to come. The show's live just after 7 p.m. this evening after the news. You can podcast it thereafter too on highlandradio.com, and you can listen to the DL debate in association with Sarah's Kitchen at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny. And of course you're focusing on all of that, and then not too far down the line too, if you don't mind me mentioning it, you're a few weeks now away from your trip to Togo. Yes. Myself and Brad is going. He's going to document it, Greg. So I do a bit of work for planning my spare time, sponsoring kids. So I sponsor ones myself, and then from that charity night we were at last year, we sponsored 23. So I'm going out to meet some of the kids and just document the trip and that. So there is a wee bit of Al Qaeda in the north of the country. I've been joking with Brad, if you might get kidnapped, will be the Togo too. So you never know what'll happen out there, but there's a lot of safety protocols. I can't believe the amount of stuff you have to go through to go out there. It's between visas and permission from here and government and forms and that, So yeah, you fly into Paris and it's 10 hours out to Togo. So there's a lady from Plan International coming with us as well. So we're going to see the work that they do out there on the ground, and as I say, meet some of the kids that we sponsor. Obviously, when you sponsor a kid, you get a pack and you get pictures of them and you can write to them and they write back to you and that, Greg. So you obviously have that sometimes that bit of a disconnect from someone in another part of the world, another continent. So we're going to try and kind of bridge that gap a wee bit and just bring home that kind of human nature of who you're helping out over there.
Yeah, and being able to document it too, it makes it more, as you go and sort of try and encourage others to do it, they get to see actually what's going on the ground and the connection between that donation and who they're helping, which is going to be really, really useful. Listen, we've a few more shows to go before that, so we'll chat to you next Monday. Thanks for the update on that, Brendan, and keep her handy, all right? Take care of yourself. Brendan Devaney there. Okay, back with more shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Join us for the Hyundai 232 Celebration Week, May 22nd to 28th. Celebrating Ioniq 6, winner of World Car Design of the Year, World Electric Car of the Year, and overall World Car of the Year 2023. And the Ioniq 5, winner of the same awards in 2022. Visit the Hyundai 232 Celebration Week to order your new Hyundai from our multi-award-winning range, including Ireland's best-selling car, the Tucson. Hyundai, a class apart.
The 232 Celebration Week is now on at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny, until Sunday the 28th.
Hello summer, hello sunshine, hello to a fantastic range of summer bedding, baskets and containers lovingly grown in Letterkenny at Alcorn's Garden Centre. Choose from thousands of perfect plants and shrubs with expert advice and everything you need to plant and care for them. Open every day and now accepting Shop LK vouchers. Alcorn's, where value grows every day.
Super Value makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, we match Aldi on the products you love. 2, great special offers like Huggies Pure Wipes 12-pack, $8.50, and selected Bold 2-in-1 Liquid, $9.50. Exclusive to Real Rewards members only. And 3, money off vouchers every week on the app. So, follow the 1, 2, 3 and save money at Super Value. T's and C's apply.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New, fresh colours in women's sportswear from Nike and Under Armour. Get that new look with some bright colours. Quarter zips with t-shirts and fitness bottoms. Match it up with some new arrivals in our footwear for women. Brooks, Hoka, and On Running gives you a unique comfort sensation. View our new arrivals. Click on bmcsports.ie for your free delivery.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 19 minutes past 11. A caller says, I took time off work. I went to the tax office to tax my van. First time not allowed online. Wasting guards' time stamping it. Tax office only doing motor tax 2 days a week. People need to use the service or lose it too. Online, that's in Carnton. Indeed, and that comes up from time to time when people realise the service is at reduced hours. Right, Ireland is becoming the first country in the world to have health labelling on alcohol products. The Minister for Health has signed the new measures into law, which will take effect in 3 years' time. Dr. Sheila Gilheany is CEO of Alcohol Action Ireland. And I presume, Doctor, you're welcoming this move.
We certainly are. You know, this is something that public health advocates have been looking for actually nearly a decade at this stage. And indeed, the legislation was originally passed nearly 5 years ago, and it's only now actually being implemented. And as you say, another 3 years before it, actually will appear on a bottle. So as you can see, with all of these measures, things seem to take a very long time, but it's definitely a positive thing. It's really giving consumers, I suppose, factual information that simply hasn't really been available to them to date. So the labels themselves are fairly modest. They're text-based. They give information about pregnancy warning, not to drink in pregnancy, links between alcohol and fatal cancer, and link between alcohol and liver disease, as well as some basic information about the calories and the amount of grams of alcohol in the product.
But we don't really want to talk about it seems, as a nation, about the negative impacts of drinking alcohol. You'll see at the same time as the government signing this into law, they're also looking to extend opening hours, liberalising licensing laws. We have off licences on every corner now, and we're going to have even more coming down the line, more opportunity for people to drinking into the very early hours of the morning, despite people involved in alcohol harm saying this is the wrong way to go. So is this discrete labelling really feel just like a token. When you look at everything else we're doing, we're saying, get it into you. That's how it comes across.
Yeah, well, I would certainly say that there's a policy mismatch between what the Department of Health are seeking, because they're actually looking to reduce alcohol use by about 20% in the country, and they've trying to do that through a series of measures, including minimum unit pricing, these labels, and some controls on the advertising of alcohol products. And all of this would come out of legislation passed in 2018. But then, exactly as you say, we have another department, this is the Department of Justice, who are bringing forward legislation to increase the availability of alcohol. And one of the things that we would say is that, alcohol is such a serious issue in Ireland. Like, literally 4 people die today. Another 4 will die tomorrow. Over 1,500 will die in the year. It costs us about 3.7 billion. It takes up about 11% of the healthcare budget. I mean, any of these statistics would be enough, you would feel, for a government to say, gosh, this is a serious problem and we really need to tackle it. And one of the things that we would be suggesting is that there is a need for a central office, something maybe a bit like the RSA, Road Safety Authority, but an office that would take a holistic approach to alcohol harm reduction. And I suppose really, firstly, try to look at the policy measures which are needed, do the data analysis that's needed around it, to really research and see what's going on, and then to coordinate right across all departments, because there's quite a number of different departments have an interest, if you like, within alcohol. So you have the Department of Finance, who would set duties or excise rates, but those rates haven't been increased in 10 years, so their value has been absolutely eroded by inflation. And then you have, as I say, the Department of Justice, and there's other departments, and then you come back to something like the Department of Health, or indeed Department of Children, who could be picking up really quite considerable tabs in trying to address the problem, when in fact what would probably be better is if we could, if you like, turn off the tap a little bit, or at least reduce the pressure at source on it.
Yeah, but even looking through the stats, and I get it, 2 out of 3 people will receive a diagnosis of an alcohol-related cancer. 16 babies will be born with lifelong conditions of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. 120 people will be hospitalised today being treated for alcohol-related liver disease. 4 people will die from alcohol. That's tragic. But it doesn't talk of the addiction, the disruption to families, the domestic violence, the fatal road traffic collisions. Those statistics almost feel as serious as they are the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Like 200,000 children today are living in homes that are seriously impacted by alcohol harm. And as I say, there's any number of different statistics that we could use to try and highlight the harm that's there. So, as I say, I do feel that one of the things that is difficult for us is sometimes we instinctively know, yes, there is a bit of harm from alcohol, but at the same time, we don't want to know it. And one of the reasons that we don't want to know it is that we're surrounded by a massive amount of alcohol marketing. We're exposed to something like about 115 million's worth every year of alcohol marketing, and that doesn't even count things like sponsorship of sporting activities and things like that. That's just, billboards and TV ads and things like that. Actually, almost the basics of it. But we get such a powerful measure, a powerful, I suppose, it infiltrates our environment to such an extent that it can be difficult for people just to sort of step back from it and say, actually, do you know something? This is a serious problem that really does need to be addressed. So if we look and see what was done around tobacco, for example, one of the first things that really made a difference was banning the advertising of tobacco and cigarettes and smoking. And that is one of the things that helped people, I suppose, in that broader thing to say, actually, this is a harmful product and it needs to be regulated in a way that simply hasn't been done to date. As you would just say, there's almost like a free-for-all because we have alcohol available literally in every town, every corner, of where we live.
They even want to allow it to be delivered.
Yes,
they even want it. So in other words, when someone is so paralytic at 3 a.m, that they can't leave the house. They want a situation whereby you can deliver alcohol. So, like, I'm speaking to you and others. We've got fantastic representatives locally as well that we speak to who are calling for things to tighten up, yet we're going in the other direction. A report out this morning, 4,500 students were polled asking, how their parents or guardians might view them if they got drunk. Attitudes are softening. 70% of parents would have been angry a few years ago. Now it's around about 50%. So in other words, attitudes are moderating in this regard. So rather than people seeing it as more dangerous and something to avoid excessively, and certainly whilst you're young and developing, our attitudes are going in the other direction, backed by seemingly government policy to further liberalise the consumption of alcohol. But just one other question, if you don't mind, Sheila. We're talking about, bottles, cans that you might buy in an off licence or perhaps even behind the bar. But how does this get a message across to, I would argue, the majority of alcohol that's sold in a glass, for an example?
So there's two parts to this legislation. So one is individual warning labels on the can, on the bottle, and the second is that notices, effectively the same notice, giving those same warnings, also has to be posted on a notice in bars as well. So the same information would be available. It's a small step. It's definitely not the silver bullet, but this was achieved against a backdrop of massive industry pressure, ferocious opposition to it. And I think the very fact that you can see that opposition from the industry tells you the power that's there and what it took. And it really did take leadership for the Department of Health and for Minister Stephen Donnelly to stand up and actually.
But it's not a done deal yet. I presume there actually will be anti-competition European-wide challenges to this. So the fight, if I could put it like that, there has not been won yet, unless that has been overcome. But I would imagine the drinks industry on a European basis will try and use European law to try and at least defer or delay this.
Well, that is a very typical tactic of the industry. But, just to say that at this point, the regulations have already been through the EU single market notification process. And indeed, the Commission, found and was stated indeed by the Commissioner for Health that these measures were proportionate to the scale of the problem that was being experienced in Ireland. So I don't anticipate a problem from Europe on this. And yes, of course, there's an industry which will always try and push back. But I think actually we have got this over the line.
And very finally, if you don't mind me saying, these decisions, Dublin-based decisions, often don't really consider the nuances. Like for us, example, living in a border area, minimum unit pricing alcohol just means more people are going across the border to buy booze cheaper. And for those that buy that booze across the border, these warnings will not exist on the cans and bottles that they consume. But again, we're used up here to being somewhat forgotten. These kind of actions really do need to be done on an all-Ireland basis if they're to have an equal effect for everyone.
Yeah, well, I completely agree. And indeed, there are moves, and we strongly support the moves in Northern Ireland to have minimum unit pricing. One of the things that I would hope from this legislation is that other jurisdictions are looking at this very carefully. We're very aware that Norway, for example, is also looking to move on cancer warning labelling on alcohol sold there. I would hope that Ireland, having shown leadership here, that this will extend to other jurisdictions. And clearly we would want Northern Ireland and the whole of the UK to follow suit.
Dr. Sheila Kilheeney, CEO of Alcohol Action Ireland. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a lovely day.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
I have the right to make decisions that matter to me.
Decisions about my money, my property, where I live.
Decisions about care and medical treatment.
If I need formal support,
the new decision support service can help.
And if I want to plan ahead,
so that my wishes are always known and respected, I could do that too.
The decision support service can help me and those close to me
to understand the options available.
My decisions,
my rights.
To find out more, visit decisionsupportservice.ie.
Who said electrification can't spark excitement? From introducing Ireland's first EV to redefining the family car, Nissan has always led from the front. And now we're breaking new ground once more with e-Power, Nissan's unique hybrid driving system, fueled by petrol, driven by electric, no need to recharge, giving you the pleasure of electric driving without the need to plug in. New Nissan Qashqai and X-Trail with e-Power. Drive it to believe it at your nearest Nissan dealer. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
If you're having a party, BizPrint can create invitations, banners, posters and photo frames for any occasion. Give your guests a fun way to create great memories with props and photo frames. Call BizPrint on 91777955 or visit bizprint.ie.
On this week's Deal Debate, we round up a huge weekend of GNUs in our county, with championship action for our minor ladies and men's footballers, our senior hurlers in the Nicky record, and our senior men's footballers travel to Clare for the first game of the new All-Ireland series. I'll have interviews and feedback from all the games, and my guests will include in studio former county star John Gilday. That's the DL Debate this Monday just after 7pm news and podcasted on highlandradio.com.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love in Sarah's kitchen.
Okay, I have in my hands here a book from Grania Lyons. It's called Wild Atlantic Women, Walking Ireland's West Coast, and its author is with me now, Grania Lyons. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's lovely to meet you.
It's a lovely book. I love the cover.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's that's kind of a lino cut actually. It's an artist all she does is pictures of the Atlantic coast. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just subtle and I don't know. It stands out, but it's sort of not very terribly colourful, if that makes sense. I should have just left it at my first remarks, but it's just nice. It's just nice. So you walked Ireland's West Coast, Grania, and it was for you did it. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so about 2019, I turned 40 and I was having a bit of a moment where all my other friends had kind of got married and had kids and done the thing, and I hadn't done that, and I was having a bit of a like, oh God, what am I doing? And I thought, okay, it's time to do something for me. And I'd always wanted to. My mum and dad are both Irish. I'm from London, but my mum's from Limerick and my dad's from Sligo. And I've always wanted to travel the Wild Atlantic Way. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this, but I wanted to do it with intention, especially because it's, the country of my parents. I didn't want to just kind of, sometimes people travel and they're kind of like, oh, I've done it. And I didn't want it to be like that. So I decided to walk, first of all, in the footsteps of my own great granny, who was from Cape Clear down in Cork, and then in different women up the coastline. So there's 11 different women and 11 different walks. And I kind of go all the way from Cape Clear right up to Marlin Head in Donegal. It took me... obviously on and off. I wasn't walking the whole way, but it took me kind of 3 years to kind of do all of the 11 walks.
Yeah, because presumably too, you wanted to be in the moment and enjoy it as well. You didn't want this to be necessarily primarily a physical challenge.
No, I didn't. I kind of, I wanted to just really enjoy the landscape, and I wanted to have some time to myself to think. And I also wanted to learn some Irish history. Actually, by the time I got to Mayo, though, I was setting myself a few more challenges. So Grania Whale, who's obviously my namesake as well. So I'd obviously been hearing about her since I was a kid. The walk across Knockmore was the biggest challenge in the book. So I did sort of, I suppose as I went on, I got into the swing of things. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, they're not all really hard walks, but that one is.
Yeah, and you obviously the concept was from the beginning. Was it that you were going to walk, that you were going to walk particular areas, having chosen particular women? Was that all part of it, or did that sort of come together as you were ongoing?
It was something I knew I wanted. I had the idea in my head very firmly that I would do this, and I knew that kind of I wanted to learn the story of my great granny. I knew that I wanted all the women I knew had to. If I was going to do it, I had to find women who were deeply connected to the landscape. You know, it wasn't going to work if it was sort of, I don't know, a war hero or something. It had to be people like Eastleigh Britton in Donegal, who's a big wave surfer, or Queen Maeve, who's Kern in Sligo. It's actually part of the landscape. They had to be embedded in the landscape. But I kind of, I don't know if you've ever done something and then not known what you were doing until you've done it.
It's good. It's called living. That's my life. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, people say that about having kids actually, don't they? But I kind of, as I was doing it, I got the hang of it. I realised it would be. I did a lot more walking that's in the book.
So what is the book then? And this is not a negative question because it's everything really, okay? But the way in which you describe certain places, you paint a picture and experiences that are going to, that you could say, you know, I mean, it's going to attract visitors to these areas. They'll want to walk in your footprints. It also is focused on women. Is it a celebration of those women? And if so, in what context? And how much of this is about, you know, your personal journey, because it was for very personal reasons that you decide to begin this project. So break down the book for us in what it is, or is it what the reader feels it is, or what did you want to create?
I suppose I wanted the reader to learn about the women that were in this sort of great landscape, but I knew in order to kind of make their stories captivating, I would have to intertwine them with my own walks in the landscape. So I knew when I started it, I knew it was going to be for me, really. And I had some idea that it would just primarily be about the women. And that as I kind of walked, I'd tell their stories. And that is the format of the book. But as I was writing it, I realised that in order for the reader to care, you know, in order for the reader to actually want to be with me on this journey, I was going to have to put more of myself into it. I was going to have to sort of put myself out there, as they say. I didn't really understand what that expression means actually until I had to do it. But so the journey is, the narrative drive is kind of going from the South Coast up to the North Coast, a lovely trip along the landscape, discovering these parts of the landscape. And you can do the walks, but to keep the reader reading, I think my own personal journey does sort of carry you along. Yeah.
Now, as a writer, documentary maker, and what have you, you're incredibly busy. Is this a one-trick thing, or I mean, theoretically, you could write a similar book, you know, on your walks anywhere you chose in Ireland, anywhere for that matter?
Gosh, yeah, I haven't really thought about it. I mean, one of the reasons I did it was that I kind of wanted to do something completely independently of telly, and just completely enjoy Ireland, you know, and also, you know, spend a bit more time with my parents in Sligo so I could combine this. So I haven't really thought about it beyond this. People are saying to me, oh, maybe you should make a film, Grania. So I'm sort of thinking about it, but I haven't really, you know, in a way, like the book, the beauty of the book for me was to have these moments of tranquility. So
this really is a more personal project, isn't it, really, rather than a platform for a massive series, a documentary and 25 podcasts. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I get you. You want to sort of choose how you share it and how other people experience this with you. What was the experience like? You know what I mean? Because obviously you're meeting people, you might meet disgruntled landowners, I haven't a clue. But, you know, like, what was it like?
Well, I mean, I'm a city girl, so it was completely new to me to walk in the countryside. I completely didn't know what it was going to be like. You know, my perception of Ireland was always kind of going, especially that, you know, bits of Ireland that I didn't know, was always kind of a family holiday. So I had no idea, but it was amazing. If I'm honest with you, I had no idea when I set out how absolutely beautiful Ireland is, and also how incredibly, I mean, I don't want to use the cliche of Irish people are really friendly, because I just feel like but people genuinely were. I mean, my name is my passport in a way. I just got my Irish passport when I started the book, but my name, once people learnt my name and I told them what I was doing, they completely got it, you know, and they completely understood where I was coming from. So I did honestly have. I mean, there are ups and downs as with any journey, and I did find the walking quite strange to be in such isolated places. But honestly, the beauty of the Atlantic coastline really propelled me.
It's stunning, isn't it? It's there if you just want to go and look at it too. Yeah. Okay. And you have, well done. It's I think it's a wonderful achievement. And I think too that I try and avoid stereotypes, but hey, when they're positive, bring them on. Do you know what I mean? The book's out there now, Grania. Where can people get their hands on it?
So I think it's...
And I should mention, by the way, Donegal features really quite strongly in this, as you've already suggested, Donegal in the Northwest. So tell us where it's available.
Oh, it's available. It's sort of in all the bookshops along the North Coast. I just spoke to Des at New Island Books this morning. It's in Lieber in Sligo, I know for sure. And I guess it's in kind of most of the bookshops in Donegal too. He's across that. And
it's New Island Books as well, and what have you. People will get their hands on it. It's Wild Atlantic Women Walking Ireland's West Coast with Grania Lyons. It's been lovely speaking to you, Grania, and I'm delighted it was such a positive experience for you, and congratulations on the book documenting it all.
All right, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Nice to have you on the show. Grania Lyons there. I'll just show for those of you watching the cover, just in case you're keeping an eye out for it. You want to have a look at it. There it is. Wild Atlantic Women. Happy 80th birthday to John McAteer from Lifford. John, this comes in for us all here across the Northwest, of course, but... also, particularly from your wife and your family. Have a lovely day. Also, a particular song being looked at here. I might pass it on to a later show, but I'll play the request part of it. It's for Sean McGlynn. Happy birthday, Sean, with love from Catherine. Your birthday is today. You're a Eurythmics fan, I understand, or at least this song has significance for you. Maybe one of the DJs later will play it. But anyway, for now, Sean McGlynn, happy birthday. Lots of love coming into you from Catherine. Right, okay. I'm going to take a break and get to our last guest of the show and your comments in a moment.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
At last, a technology that's impossible to ignore. Here we have a device that grabs people's attention. Introducing a technology that's truly impossible to miss. Imagine a technology where it's impossible to scroll past your ads. Welcome to radio, advertising that's unscrollable. Visit radiocenterireland.ie to see what radio can do for your product or brand.
Don't waste time. Have your say on the National Waste Management Plan. This plan, by the local authorities of Ireland, sets out a path for our transition to a circular economy, to reduce pressure on our natural resources, increase reuse, repair and recycling, and promote sustainable growth. We want your view on Ireland's plan. Go to mywaste.ie.
If it's time to change your oven or hob, at Ben Swinney Euronics we have great value packages available right now, like the Zanussi oven and hob pack for just $4.99. We also have great value in double ovens, integrated fridge freezers, dishwashers and range cookers, with the delivery and installation service available. And we have great deals in kitchen appliances like air fryers, coffee machines, juicers and food mixers. Call in and see us at Ben Swinney Euronics in Letterkenny or Dunlow.
Now, Pat McCart, former editor of the Derry Journal and columnist with the Daily Mirror, joins us. Pat, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. Right, you know, some people were predicting before the local elections in Northern Ireland what would be a good result for Sinn Féin. They blasted through that and will be sitting very, very happy today, I presume.
Absolutely, Greg. They got 105 seats the last time. They got 144 this time. Now, some people thought they might get maybe 5 or 10 extra seats, but they got, 39 extra seats. And they have, as well as that, they have gone way ahead of the DUP. The DUP basically are as you were. They got 122 in 2019, and they've got the same again this time. So, Greg, I think the Sinn Féin are now the biggest party in the Assembly. They're the biggest party in local government. Now, if you work on the basis that the Northern Ireland state was formed for unionism on a basis of a majority of 2-1, the days are definitely changed, and the days of unionist domination are certainly over. And I presume there are many people in the unionist community very concerned about that.
And where do the gains come from, and what does it mean in the broader political context? I can't imagine, or maybe I'm wrong, but a unionist might go, well, I'm sick and tired of the DUP, I'm voting Sinn Féin now, or vice versa from that matter, because this stuff to's and fro's. So the alliance made gains as well, and Sinn Féin made huge gains. So where are these votes coming from? Is it simply better vote management, more candidates, or what can we read from it politically, do you think, in terms of who they're attracting?
Well, Greg, the one big factor is the demographics are definitely running in favour of the nationalist community. I had an old mentor years ago, a man called Frank Kern. He was editor of the Journal before me, but he was big into all these demographics. And he claimed to me many, many years ago, everybody was counting the Catholic birth rate. But what they were ignoring was the unionist death rate. The unionist population was a lot older and they had less children. So they were getting the unionist population were getting it from both ends. They were coming up against a nationalist population that had a lot of young people, and then there were a lot of the older people were deaths sort of knocked them off. So that's all coming into play. But already, Greg, 4 out of the 6 counties are already nationalist majorities. And this time Sinn Féin won in the unionist heartland. They've now got councillors elected for the first time in places like Coleraine, Ballymena, Lisburn. Years ago, they wouldn't have even had a look in. So it's all changing. It's massively different. And I was listening to Lord Kilclooney, former John Taylor, former unionist minister, saying this changed nothing. Now, with respect, that's bordering on
let me
whatever.
Put the argument to it in that they would say they're unchanged. The DUP, for example, at 122 seats, they would say, well, this is an endorsement of our views on, the post-Brexit mess that exists. That, in other words, if they got it wrong, they'd have lost seats. So they're as you were. That's an endorsement of their policies, and they're not for changing. You don't buy that, though.
No, I think that's ridiculous, Greg. That's like saying Manchester City hasn't won the Premier League because United won it last year. That's when you're standing still and the other people are passing you out big time, you are not winning, and the unionism is not winning. And there's a sort of an attitude like burying their heads in the sand. Greg, something's going to happen or needs to happen. I think it was Naomi Long, the leader of the Alliance Party, described the Sinn Féin victory as a tsunami. And Greg, that is massive. No matter what way you come at it, they've gone up almost 8% on their vote the last time. There's sort of clear blue water coming now between Sinn Féin and the DUP, which is the biggest party in unionism. And of course there's another factor. A lot of unionists are socially liberal, and they're not coming out to vote for any of the unions. They might come out in a border poll to keep the union, but right now they're not voting for any of the unionist parties. So the unionism has got a problem that way. Like, a lot of people don't agree with the DUP's attitude towards maybe gays and various religious stances and like abortion and so on. So, like, Greg, there's all sorts of factors. But the reality is, if you're asking what is by far the Sinn Féin is now and the sort of driving seat in Northern Ireland politics, that's really the key to come out of last Thursday's election.
And we seem to be in a momentum in a direction that we're never going back to. And I think you've recognised maybe the change in demographics in terms of, the unionist population, for an example. But that's, obviously, like all parts of the world now, the population is growing in Northern Ireland, and it's not just unionists or nationalists. There's all different types of people with different backgrounds. So Sinn Féin will be very happy in that they perhaps are, the Alliance probably thought that they could reap the benefits of sort of, soft nationalists or people who are indifferent to nationalism or unionism. But the Sinn Féin obviously got their message to those people as well. You just wonder where the likes of the DUP go from here, and even hardline unionism, where it goes from here to some extent, because there were no great gains in that regard either. It just, if you are a unionist, whether it's, really hardcore or otherwise, you just wonder where it goes from here to make any gains. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does actually. Greg, I was watching a programme on BBC yesterday morning, the Northern Ireland Politics programme, and Mark Carruthers, the presenter, said we tried to talk to Jim Allister of the TUV on several occasions during the elections, and he wouldn't come forward. And the TUV have been holding the DUP's feet to the fire in regard to this Windsor framework and the protocol. And it was expected hardline unionism would make a big inroads this time to the DUP vote. It hasn't. Now, the other side of the story is Alliance are roughly about 2%. I think they got, I think it was 14 more seats this time. So they were expected to do probably better than that, but still, the trajectory is right. They're still moving up nicely, so they're happy enough. Greg, it looks like now it's Sinn Féin 1, DUP 2, Alliance 3. The SDLP and the UUP are starting to fall quite significantly behind. So there's 3 parties now. There's what would you say, the left-leaning Republicans, the right-leaning the DUP, and in the middle the Alliance.
Elsewhere, SDLP lost 20 seats down to 39. Ain't too wiped out. Greens lost over, not far off half their seats. Independents down around 20%. So things are settling, I think, into a cycle here. So where does it go from here? What happens next? I think anyone looking at it, particularly from the outside, will look at those figures and go, well, can really the DUP at this point continue to sort of hold government politics to ransom in Northern Ireland? We heard from the Sinn Féin, they're calling for all of this to be looked at. I mean, the people of Northern Ireland, doesn't matter what their politics are, deserve a government. So how does one get formed from here? Because this can't continue forever, for crying out loud.
Well, Greg, look at it the other way. 1 out of every 3 votes cast in the election on Thursday last went to Sinn Féin. The DUP, one of the big reasons, Greg, let's get this on the record as well. One of the big reasons there's such a vote for Sinn Féin is the fact that the DUP have been basically holding the place to ransom until they get concessions on this framework document. Despite the fact that the Westminster Parliament passed it with a huge majority, they're still holding out. Now, Greg, if you cross over the border and look in Derry, there's places like Craigan on the Bogside, there are programs there for where there's, in some of these places, there's 70% male unemployment. Social welfare programs are massive, and they're all going to be cut to the bone because the DUP are not going into Stormont. There's no finance ministers. Everything's getting cut, and a lot of people, there's going to be massive hardship. And of course, the other side of the story is the biggest waiting lists in either Britain or Northern Ireland, if you want to use those terms, are in Northern Ireland. Everything is just going wrong. And the DUP are saying, let them eat grass until we get what we want. And that has really angered, that's
but
where
the mandate to be sort of stubborn. Yeah, it feels though like London will look on, Dublin will look on. The mandate to sort of hold the region to ransom doesn't feel like it's there.
No, Greg, there's on one of your competitors, the Nolan Show. It was a sort of it was a bit of an outlier, but I think it emphasised the change. There's a woman called Mary came on Nolan last week from Nottingham, and the abuse she gave the people of Northern Ireland, that this flag waving and all this sort of holding out your hand and begging bowl, and you expect our people over here to pay for things. I think the sort of it's been overplayed, and there's a sort of an alienation almost in Britain towards Northern Ireland, and the DUP, I think, need to have a serious look at their strategy.
I still haven't got over Nolan's criticism of Donegal, but anyway, we'll get through it. All right, Pat, it's really interesting. We live in interesting times, and it's always a pleasure to get your insights into it all. Thank you so very much indeed.
Well, that's Greg.
Take care. That's Pat McCart, former editor of the Derry Journal and columnist too with the Irish Daily Mirror. And your views too, please, to 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text to that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Shall we have a look at a few comments as we head towards the end of the show? A caller says it's cheaper now to go out and take illegal drugs than to drink alcohol. Where's the programmes and messaging about the dangers of illegal drugs? They're everywhere, cheap and available. And every time I read a text like that, I remember saying on this programme that drugs had become incredibly cheap and widely available. And I was corrected in relation to that, but I still maintain that that is the case. Ain2 averaged 4 of first preference votes. They stood candidates. The average, not... Just send that in to us again, please, because I'm not sure if that's a positive or negative. When I went to national school, we were taught that the summer months were May, June and July in Ireland, but nowadays May seems to have been kept on in the spring, when sometimes mentioned in ads in the media. Looks like we're going backwards when it comes to basic knowledge and education. Well, you see, the summer from a meteorological perspective doesn't even start till the start of June. So depends on what way you want to look at it. Sharp Bin, back to this. I have a number there I was given just before Christmas. It's a Dublin-based number, Hibernian Healthcare, for collection or replacement. They operate Monday to Friday. We have that number, Marie, by the way. We'll pass that on to Marie in any case. Staying with that, though, you can leave sharp boxes into the blood room in LUH. You absolutely can not put those sharp boxes into the general waste. They're classed as hazardous waste. OK, and that's clear, and good to get that cleared up. The quality of wine is not always defined by price, says the listener. I love the 3 litre cartons of wine you can get for £5. 3 litres of wine for £5. Is it paint stripper or what? Can you really get 3 litres of wine for €5? Ooh, OK. A caller says, I've got a hangover just thinking of it. A caller says, I agree with that comment. Read the hairdressers working from home, going to the hairdresser to relax in their home. It's children, dogs and nosy children's dogs and nosy neighbours. I'm sure that's not across the board, but I do take your point. I can just imagine you sitting there looking for colour and just, it's like being at home. Okay, listen, thanks so much to all of you who took time to listen to the show. It's really appreciated, and for those of you who watched it as well, and if you took your phone out and sent a message, greatly appreciated too. We're going to do it all again. We're going to roll it back and do it tomorrow morning again from 9, so please join us from then. Thanks to Caroline Orr, who researched and produced, assisted by Niamh working on the show. John Bresson's coming up around the Northwest in a couple of minutes.
Itchy eyes, running nose, wheezy and a